Chapter 658. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We will provide you with interesting novels to read. Thank you, Brother 13. Qinjun understands. Qinjun said as he bowed slightly. Thank you, Uncle 13. Ma Zhuang and the other two bowed as well. Heal your wounds first and think about what I said. The rest of you, form groups of 5 and fight with me. Night Sorrow said as he looked at the other members of the god-slaying team. Ho Jian and the others nodded. In fact, even if Night Sorrow did not say anything, they would have done the same. This was because they would have found their own weaknesses. Night Sorrow controlled his cultivation level, so that it was the same as the person with the lowest cultivation level in each group. Then he sparred with everyone. After a whole morning, the members of the god-slaying team, including Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu, all had bloodstains on their bodies. Those were the traces of the rattan. Everyone also saw what real combat skills and combat awareness were. Although they were at the same cultivation level, or even slightly lower, Night Sorrow's combat power was far superior to theirs. This was under the condition that Night Sorrow did not use his ultimate move. Night Sorrow was in the realm of one with the spear. The rattan was a part of Night Sorrow's body. Its attack power was extremely strong. Go back and rest well. Think about it carefully, Night Sorrow said as he looked at the group of people. That's it for today. Do you dare to continue tomorrow? Yin Huang, who had a few bloodstains on his back, was full of fighting spirit. Can you guys do it? Night Sorrow glanced at Yin Huang, and then looked at the other members of the god-slaying team. Men can't not do it, Shui Ling shouted as he waved his long sword. Women can do it too. Ling Long, who had a few bloodstains on her back, shouted as well. Everyone can do it. Let's continue tomorrow. Night Sorrow threw away the rattan and turned to leave the training ground. I won't let 13th junior brother stop me tomorrow. I want to train like this too, Aoi said as she looked in the direction Night Sorrow left. Yang Lei shook her head. 6th senior sister, don't come over. 13, this beast is really ruthless. Look at this. After speaking, Yang Lei rolled up her sleeves, revealing 2 bloodstains. This guy's speed is simply too frightening. There's no way we can compare to him at all. Yin Huang looked at Yang Lei and the rest and said, Yin Huang, Ling Long, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chiyu were practicing with Night Sorrow today. Night Sorrow used the same cultivation as Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu. Even so, they couldn't restrain Night Sorrow's speed, and could only passively take a beating. Let's focus on defense first. My left arm and the left side of my body are the weak points in defense, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow returned to his residence and began to meditate and cultivate. In fact, today's training was also beneficial to him. The weak points of others shouldn't appear in his body. At the training ground, Night Sorrow left. The others were applying medicine and bandaging their wounds. They were all thinking about their own weaknesses. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow practiced his spear techniques in the morning and ate breakfast with the girls. After eating, Aoi poured Night Sorrow a cup of tea and said, 13, don't stop me from training today. This is the path that 6th senior sister has chosen. Can you respect 6th senior sister a little? Night Sorrow looked seriously at Aoi and nodded. He knew that Aoi had chosen this path. When the group arrived at the training ground, the members of the god-slaying squad were already waiting in formation. Yi Linglan had also come to watch. He had watched for a while yesterday. Ma Shizhuang brought Night Sorrow a rattan. Are you all ready? Night Sorrow asked, holding the rattan. We're ready, the group of people roared. Not bad. Let's divide the teams according to their cultivation. There's no high or low. Otherwise you know the consequences. Night Sorrow looked at the teams the god-slaying squad had divided. Don't look down on us. Do we have to do this? Yin Huang looked at Night Sorrow and said, I'm not worried about the others. I'm only worried about you. Alright, let's begin. Night Sorrow waved the rattan and pointed at one of the teams. As the rattan tore through the air, the members of the god-slaying squad cried out in pain. Although they wouldn't be seriously injured, the rattan still hurt. It was useless to put up a protective barrier. The barrier would be shattered by Night Sorrow's concussive force and penetrated by the spiraling force. There was no way they could take it head-on. Half a day passed and the sparring session ended. The god-slaying squad members were all grimacing in pain because the rattan had hurt too much. Not bad. You all made some progress. Continue to study your weaknesses. We'll fight again in 2 days. Knight Sorrow tossed the rattan aside, got up, and left the training ground. Too brutal. I've already paid attention to the defense on my back, but I still got hit, Yin Huang said as he touched the bloody marks on his back. Young master's speed is too fast. Your attacks all missed. You can't break his speed, so you can only study your defenses. Actually, if you want to hit someone first, you have to learn how to take a beating. It's just like how young madam's left arm is always being hit. The main problem is that the swing is too big. These are all unnecessary weaknesses, Yi Linglan, who was watching from the side, said. Being fast isn't invincible. When you meet a fast opponent, you have to be able to predict. That is, you have to estimate the opponent's attack trajectory and make a judgment in advance. Then you have to dodge. Every movement of your footwork has to have the effect of one step. Wu Lingfei also appeared. She had been looking at the scenery outside the training ground, so she knew the situation here. Yin Huang and the others nodded. Everyone knew that this was the fastest way to improve one's strength. Knight Sorrow went to the small boat by the lake. He took out a jar of wine and drank slowly. At the same time, he thought about the weaknesses of others and compared himself to others. After drinking, Knight Sorrow continued to cultivate his spear arts, pursuing high-speed and violent attacks. After cultivating for a while, Knight Sorrow went to rest. Wu Lingfei came over. Seeing you cultivate reminds me of when I was young. Auntie Fei is forever young. Knight Sorrow smiled and got up to make tea. You really know how to talk. Auntie Fei has some suggestions. You have to cultivate your footwork to be more smooth. For example, you have to walk in an arc. After changing directions, you won't lose momentum. This can increase the power of your attacks. You should know that strength is also your strength. Wu Lingfei sat down on the wooden boat and said. Knight Sorrow thought for a while and nodded. He felt that this was a good direction for cultivation. It's really convenient to communicate with smart people. In fact, cultivating one's battle strength is nothing more than pursuing speed. Speed and strength are still in service of attacking. The two should always be combined without any gaps. Wu Lingfei said. I understand. Knight Sorrow nodded and said. Auntie Fei doesn't know about the nihility attribute, so I can't give you any good suggestions. However, you can slowly figure it out by yourself. Wu Lingfei was also helpless that Knight Sorrow hadn't shown the power of the nihility attribute. Recently, I discovered that the nihility chi can be melted. In other words, when the chi is condensed to a point, it can melt everything around it into nothingness. Knight Sorrow said his discovery. Chapter 659. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/small? I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. Knight Sorrow stood up. After his true chi erupted, he compressed it and shot out a spear. As Knight Sorrow shot out, a purple halo appeared at the tip of the spear. In the middle of the halo, an area similar to a spatial black hole appeared. Unlike a spatial black hole, there was nothing there. It was truly empty. Nothingness. This is true nothingness. It's just that the empty spot is a bit small. Wu Lingfei's eyes were filled with shock. Yes, but I think that as my cultivation increases, its power will increase. Knight Sorrow said. Of course, when your cultivation increases, your true chi will become more condensed, and your chi shield will also have the ability to melt. Then, all kinds of attacks will not touch you. Wu Lingfei nodded. She now understood the terror of the nothingness attribute. Aunt Fei, there's still something I don't understand. Night Moon's family is mostly of the spatial attribute. My mother can't be of the nothingness attribute. How can I be of the nothingness attribute? Knight Sorrow asked. How can you ask such an idiotic question? Talent is inherited. Bloodline is also inherited, but attributes are not. Attributes are determined by a person's compatibility with the origin of heaven and earth. Wu Lingfei was helpless with Knight Sorrow because Knight Sorrow was an idiot in many aspects. I won't ask in the future. Knight Sorrow was embarrassed because he really didn't know. It's fortunate that you asked. Otherwise, if your future child wasn't of the nothingness attribute, you would have some ideas. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. That won't happen. Night Sorrow also smiled because Wu Lingfei rarely joked. The two chatted casually, and Wu Lingfei also told Night Sorrow some common knowledge, and some cultivation experience. Night Sorrow also benefited a lot because he was lacking in these aspects. In the evening, the two returned to the mansion. We just changed the medicine. 13, you really did it. Yang Lei rubbed her arm. Aoi's face was also red because Night Sorrow had whipped her thigh twice. You guys were the ones who requested to spar. Besides, if you know where it hurts, you'll pay more attention to your defense in the future, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then they all had dinner together. After dinner, Night Sorrow stood up and said, If you're tired, rest early. You're going to cultivate so early today. Aren't you going to drink a pot of tea? Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. In the past, Night Sorrow would only leave after drinking a pot of tea. The night of the full moon is the day the Yi clan pays their respects to their ancestors. I'm going to burn some incense. Love Gom Little Say Night Sorrow took a deep breath and said. Then let's go too. It's only right for me to burn incense with you, Sikong Chiyu said. She was now Night Sorrow's fiancée, and also Night Moon's woman. You guys can go too. After the engagement ceremony, as Night Sorrow's fiancée, it's only right for you guys to go and pay your respects to Night Sorrow's ancestors, Wu Lingfei said. Yang Lei and Aoi nodded. It was mainly Aoi's side. Yang Lei had already paid her respects. Everyone changed into solemn robes and took the teleportation circle to Night Moon City. Under Night Sorrow's lead, the four of them arrived at Night Moon's inscription. Seeing Night Sorrow arrive, Yi Linglan, Yi Lingyuan, Yi Xiaoyuan, Yi Xiaoyan and Gu Jun all bowed. Nodding, Night Sorrow brought the girls to light incense and candles. Then they bowed and said, Night Sorrow is here. I haven't gotten my revenge yet, but I'll work hard. Yi Clan's Yang Lei is here to burn incense for the ancestors. Yang Lei lit the incense and bowed. Yi Clan's Sikong Chiyu is here to burn incense for the ancestors. Sikong Chiyu bowed and inserted the incense into the cauldron. Aoi blushed and lit the incense too. Yi Clan's Aoi is here to burn incense for the ancestors. After the three girls finished, Yi Linglan and the others bowed to Yang Lei and the other two and called them young madam. At this moment, a few corpses were thrown in front of the cauldron. Then Yi Lingxie appeared. Since Night Moon has been rebuilt, we'll just kill all the small fries that come. Do they really think the people of Night Moon have no guts? Yi Lingxie said coldly. These were the spies from the other factions that Yi Lingxie had killed. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios elder Linglan. Bring more people to patrol in the future. If there are any suspicious people, take them down. Other places aside, Night Moon City, Wuyo City, and Wuemo City must not have any spies from other factions. Kill them all. If you can't kill them, send a signal and I'll kill them, Yi Lingxie said. This subordinate understands. Yi Linglan and the others bowed. Then, Yi Lingxie walked to Night Sorrow's side. In addition, this king will say that this is the young master of Night Moon and the current leader of Night Moon. Even this king is only an assistant. Anyone who disobeys will be killed. Yi Linglan and the others bowed again. Then, Yi Lingxie announced the identities of Yang Lei and the other two. To the Yi clan, the young madam also had to be respected. Night Sorrow didn't refute because he had already decided to shoulder the responsibility of Night Moon. After chatting with Yi Lingxie for a bit, Night Sorrow brought the three women back to Sky City. Although Night Moon is in a post-war state, it's not in a bad state. As long as there's a battle, its combat power won't be low, Yang Lei said. Because the faith is still there. Because Night Moon's glory is still there. Night Sorrow said with some emotion. Today he really did feel the high fighting spirit of Night Moon's people. After chatting for a while, Aoi went back to rest. Night Sorrow sent Aoi back to her loft. 13. Don't tire yourself out. When it's time to rest you should rest, Aoi said to Night Sorrow as she turned around. 6 senior sister, give me a hug. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Aoi nodded and opened her arms to hug Night Sorrow. 6 senior sister, to me, this hug is the last hug that belongs to a senior sister and junior brother. Night Sorrow said after hugging for a while. In front of Night Moon's monument, when Aoi mentioned the Night Clan's Aoi, Night Sorrow decided to change the way he interacted with Aoi. Because Aoi already had a position, he couldn't use the same way as before. After letting go of Night Sorrow, Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said, "In that case, I will also be your senior sister from now on. You still have to listen to me." "Of course, senior sister, you know what I mean," Night Sorrow said. After glancing at Night Sorrow, Aoi quickly entered the loft. Her footsteps were a little hurried. She naturally knew that Night Sorrow had changed his attitude. He smiled at Aoi's back and returned to the main building. "How was it? You didn't follow her in?" Young Lei smiled at Night Sorrow. "How could I? I only said a few words to Sixth Senior Sister." Night Sorrow looked at Young Lei speechlessly. Sixth Senior Sister is gentle. She needs some time. Sikong Chuyu looked at Yang Lei and shook his head. "That's true. 13. Are you not going to cultivate tonight?" Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "If I wanted to cultivate, I would have left long ago. I'm resting tonight." Night Sorrow took off his outer robe and walked towards the bedroom. The two girls looked at each other and followed Night Sorrow into the bedroom. This was life, and to them it was also cultivation. The three of them only rested after working for half the night. Chapter 660. Geniuses Remember Love in 1 Second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. After practicing his spear techniques for a while and stretching his body, Night Sorrow ate breakfast with the rest of the team. After eating, Night Sorrow did not go to the martial arts practice field. Instead, he went to the lake to practice. As for the practice with the god-slaying team, it was fine to do it in the afternoon. The days passed peacefully and steadily. The members of the god-slaying squad had not only increased their cultivation bases, but their combat power had also increased rapidly. Night Sorrow did not train with them anymore, as the main purpose of training was to give them pointers. When Night Sorrow came to the martial arts practice field again, Yin Huang came back from outside. "Leader, I've found the target again. When are we going to do it?" "Once we've found the target, we'll go and kill him directly. How long do we have to wait?" "Gather." Night Sorrow gave the order immediately. Following Night Sorrow's order, the members of the god-slaying team quickly gathered together. Night Sorrow looked at Aoi because Aoi was also in the team. "Don't look at me. I want to fight." Aoi noticed Night Sorrow's gaze and said her thoughts directly. "Okay. Ninth Senior Sister, pay attention. We'll set off now." Night Sorrow put away the ice silk pouch at his waist and waved his hand. Then, under Yin Huang's lead, the team arrived at a city in the Tianfeng dynasty. Night Sorrow, Yin Huang and Ling Long, who took the lead, defeated the guards of the teleportation portal. Night Sorrow then arranged 2 groups of guards. "I'll go to the city lord's mansion. The rest of you follow the old plan." "Night Sorrow, this time it's a city lord who is a beginner honorable. How about letting me try?" Yin Huang looked at Night Sorrow and asked. He also wanted to see if he had the ability to kill a honorable. "Okay. Xueling, Ho Jian, take care of our brothers. I don't want to see any casualties. Yin Huang, let's go." Night Sorrow called out to Yin Huang. The god-slaying team was much stronger than before, but the structure of the team had not changed. The vice-captains were still Xueling and Ho Jian. Even Yin Huang and Ling Long, who had joined later, were much stronger than them in terms of cultivation. This was because of their leadership skills and ability to see the big picture. Ling Long's fighting strength was strong, but she had a rough personality and was not good at commanding and commanding. Yin Huang's mind was meticulous, but his mind was not in this aspect. Night Sorrow and Yin Huang rode their mounts towards the city lord's mansion. Night Sorrow and Night Sorrow flew, while setting fire to the sky. Everywhere they passed, the sky was filled with flames. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Night Sorrow and Night Sorrow arrived at the city lord's residence. Just as the two of them arrived at the city lord's mansion, a middle-aged woman flew out from within. A group of small fries really came. "This is my good luck." The woman's chi rose rapidly. After that, Night Sorrow could no longer see through her cultivation base. "This woman hid her cultivation base and tricked us. She's a 5th-level venerable." Yin Huang's expression changed. He saw the woman's cultivation base. Her cultivation base rose from a 1st-level venerable to a 5th-level venerable in an instant. "Don't worry. Go set fire to the mansion and kill as many as you can. Then retreat. You don't have to care about me. Night Sorrow straightened his back and held the reincarnation spear in his hand. After glaring at the woman, Yin Huang dashed towards the city lord's mansion with his hell wolf. At this moment, he discovered that there were no more high-level cultivators in the mansion. Yin Huang's cultivation base was already at the peak void inquiry stage. Moreover, his lightning attribute was extremely violent. With the help of the ghost wolf, no one could stop him. The late void inquiry stage guards in front of the city lord's mansion were killed by him in just a few moves. The woman in black robes waved her hand and sent a ray of sword chi towards Yin Huang. She was enraged when she saw Yin Huang kill her guards. However, Night Sorrow's body flashed and arrived in front of the sword chi's path. He fired a few spear strikes continuously and neutralized the sword chi. Love go little say net you damn it. So what if my guards were killed? It's already a great merit for me to kill you. When you report to the netherworld, remember that the person who killed you is Chen Haofei. The woman in black robes gritted her teeth and said, "Are all the people of the Tianfeng dynasty good at talking?" At that time, Chen Haoran also said the same thing. However, he was the one who died. Night Sorrow snorted coldly. Damn it. Hearing Night Sorrow mention Chen Haoran's name, Chen Haofei was enraged because he was her elder cousin. The furious Chen Haofei waved the long sword in her hand and sent out rays of sword chi towards Night Sorrow. She gritted her teeth and looked like she wanted to cut Night Sorrow into mincemeat. Night Sorrow raised a spatial energy shield around his body and continuously dodged. Chen Haofei's sword energies all missed. This was the advantage brought about by speed. Just now, he took Chen Haofei's sword chi head-on because Night Sorrow was worried that Yin Huang would be injured. Now that he was thinking about defending and protecting himself, there was no need for him to do something that was strenuous and unrewarding. Seeing that Night Sorrow's speed was fast, Chen Haofei increased the binding power of the Venerable Realm in order to control Night Sorrow's speed. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow's speed was reduced. However, the mutated energy shield could still cut through Chen Haofei's binding power in an instant. This was the power of the spatial attribute. It could crush other ordinary attributes. Chen Haofei's water attribute couldn't suppress Night Sorrow. Ant, let's see how long you can jump. Unable to take down Night Sorrow, Chen Haofei cursed bitterly and sped up to chase after Night Sorrow. First move Night Sorrow didn't move in a straight line. His energy shield cut left and right, constantly dodging and not giving Chen Haofei a chance to crush him head-on. Yin Huang knew that Night Sorrow was under a lot of pressure, so he went all out to kill. He directly rushed to the warehouse of the city lord's mansion and emptied the few resources there. The Tianfeng dynasty was smart. They didn't put too many resources in their subordinate cities. Most of them were transferred to the capital, Tianfeng City. After getting fewer resources, Yin Huang's anger grew. He set fire to the warehouse while chasing after the guards of the city lord's mansion. He killed all of them who were rank 3 and above. Remember this. If you have the ability, hide the resources. If I can't get the resources, I'll kill them. As long as I kill all those above rank 3, I'll prepare enough resources for you if you don't want to die. Yin Huang, who felt that he was at a disadvantage because he couldn't get the resources, shouted as he chased after the guards of the city lord's mansion. Retreat! Night Sorrow shouted when he saw that the angry Chen Haofei had the intention to attack Yin Huang. He then took the initiative to attack. He was worried that Chen Haofei would kill Yin Huang. Night Sorrow attacked crazily with his spear. Chen Haofei didn't attack Yin Huang. Instead, he started to attack Night Sorrow. With the advantage of speed, Night Sorrow wasn't in any danger of being injured. Damn it! You dare not leave us any resources? From today onwards, we won't only attack the city lord's mansion of the big cities. We'll also attack the small cities and towns. As long as they're rank 3 and above cultivators in the Tianfeng dynasty, I'll kill them all. Yin Huang, who had left the city lord's mansion, shouted at Chen Haofei. Damn it! When I catch you, I'll tear you to pieces. Chen Haofei cursed angrily when she heard Yin Huang's threat. However, under the constant harassment of Night Sorrow, she didn't have the energy to chase after Yin Huang. Chen Haofei was worried that if she chased after Yin Huang, Night Sorrow would run away. In her eyes, Night Sorrow was the most valuable. Yin Huang was just a small fry and wasn't that important. Chapter 661. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow, who had made up his mind, ran in the opposite direction of the teleportation portal. He threw torches as he ran. No matter how the battle went, he had to achieve his goal of destroying the city first. Love go little say W. Chu Yishan's straight line speed was not as fast as Chen Haofei's. After all, Chen Haofei's 5th level venerate cultivation was real. However, Yishan's protective shield was in the same state as the polar moon wheel. It could cut in all directions and change directions at will. Chen Haofei could not block him and kill him. While running, Night Sorrow also attacked some of the guards in the city. Every time the sky-piercing spear was launched, it would kill them. Yin Huang returned to the teleportation portal and told them about the situation. He also told them about his suggestion, which was to destroy a small city. Is the captain in any danger? Xueling looked at Yin Huang and asked. This was what everyone wanted to know. If Night Sorrow was not in danger, they could focus on other things. I think so. Because the captain is fast, that guy's attacks almost all missed. If the captain wants to leave, she can't stop him, Yin Huang said. Then let's teleport once first and then go to other small cities. Not leaving any resources. That's too despicable. Let's be despicable too, Hou Jian said. Then, Hou Jian decided that Qin Zhen would stay to destroy the teleportation portal. The others would go elsewhere to fight. Yi Shang walked Chen Haofei like he was walking a dog. When he wasn't attacked by Chen Haofei, Yi Shang would occasionally set fire and kill the guards of the city lord's mansion. He wanted to bring harm to the Tianfeng dynasty. Night Sorrow's actions angered Chen Haofei. She chased after Night Sorrow and kept releasing sword energy. After an hour, the city was on fire. Most of the high-level buildings had been set on fire by Night Sorrow. The streets were full of guards' corpses. They were all killed by Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear. Shameless thief, if I catch you in a while, I'll definitely make you beg for death. Chen Haofei was now extremely angry. Night Sorrow was as slippery as a loach. Not to mention, under her eyes, he continued to set fire and kill people. This was a slap in the face. Let's wait until you catch me. Night Sorrow did not care about Chen Haofei's threat at all. If threats could kill people, then there was no need for them to cultivate. When he felt that it was about time, Night Sorrow decided to run. He had already achieved his goal of destroying the city, and he couldn't kill a level 5 supremacy. Furthermore, he had used up a lot of his energy during this skirmish. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs.com. The fighting power of a beginner supremacy and an intermediate supremacy were completely different. Previously, Night Sorrow was able to defeat Jin Sun because of luck. Currently, Chen Haofei was using her sword qi to cut him, making it difficult for the space-time pagoda to hit him. Night Sorrow, who was planning to run, communicated with Xiao Kong. When they reached the corner of a burning building, Night Sorrow's body moved horizontally, leaving Chen Haofei's line of sight. He then entered the space-time pagoda and smashed it into the ground. The Seikong pagoda's body shrunk to the size of a thumb. When it smashed into the ground, it was immediately covered by dust. You rascal, what you're doing is a little risky, Xiao Kong muttered. Baidu search AI go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs.com. It's fine. Even if she finds out, I'm not afraid. My speed is not inferior. At most, I'll just run again. Night Sorrow did not care. With his speed, it was impossible for Chen Haofei to kill him. Chen Haofei chased after the corner of the building and was stunned. Because the target was gone. Night Sorrow had disappeared. Little bastard, get out here for me. When I catch you, I'll chop you into pieces, castrate you, and cook your body parts with wine. Chen Haofei scolded angrily. Hearing Chen Haofei's scolding, Night Sorrow felt a chill in his pants. This Chen Haofei was too ruthless. Night Sorrow believed that if he was caught, this Chen Haofei might do as he said. A crazy woman is very scary. Xiao Kong, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, muttered. Night Sorrow glanced at Xiao Kong. Xiao Kong was still young now, but she would also be a woman in the future. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow sat down to recover. Although he hadn't fought head-on during this period of time, Night Sorrow had still consumed a lot of energy. Now that he had the chance, he naturally had to recover. The situation outside was being monitored by Little Kong, so it was safe. Night Sorrow had calmed down, but Chen Haofei could not. Night Sorrow had disappeared in front of her eyes. If Night Sorrow had escaped, then the city would have been burned for nothing. The guards in the city would also have been killed for nothing. She would also be punished when she returned to the Tianfeng dynasty. At the same time, Chen Haofei also knew that Night Sorrow had not left. Instead, he was hiding because she had been using the spatial bind. Other than the area where Night Sorrow's protective energy shield was broken, there were not many spatial fluctuations in the other areas. Then Chen Haofei searched back and forth in the area where Night Sorrow had disappeared. She even stepped on the ground where the space-time pagoda was hiding. This made Xiao Kong very angry, but seeing that Night Sorrow was still recovering, she endured it. Chen Haofei searched back and forth for Night Sorrow, but to no avail. This made Chen Haofei very angry. She could not leave because she was very sure that Night Sorrow had not left. She also did not dare to remove the spatial bind of the Venerable Realm. She was afraid that Night Sorrow would really run away if she was not careful. She could only endure the consumption and keep searching. Yin Huang and the others teleported away. After changing cities, they flew for a while and directly attacked small cities and towns. They stole resources and burned the city lord's mansion. They did not leave the small city lord and the town mayor behind. Every time they destroyed the city lord's mansion of a small city, Yin Huang would leave behind a message. Don't hide the resources that belong to us. If you hide them again, it won't just be burning the city lord's mansion and the town mayor's mansion. Feeling that it was about time, the god-slaying team retreated and found the nearest city with a teleportation array. They returned to Taiching City and then to the city in the sky. When they returned to the city in the sky and did not see Night Sorrow, Aoi was a little worried. Ninth junior sister Chiyu, will 13 be fine? He won't be back so soon. After he ran away, he first had to find a city with a teleportation array. This will take a long time. It will take a few days. Yang Lei poured a cup of water for Aoi and said, "Sixth senior sister, are you used to it?" Sikong Chiyu looked at Aoi and asked. Aoi did not kill anyone in this battle, but she severely injured a few people. Then the others took care of them. It's okay. I'll slowly get used to it. Also, I stood there and did not move at first. They took the initiative to kill me. Aoi said, "This is a dog-eat-dog world. If you don't kill, they will kill you." Yang Lei lamented. Chen Haofei only needed 1 hour to recover. He used his soul power to probe the area outside the space-time pagoda, searching for an opportunity to escape. However, Chen Haofei continued to patrol the area outside. He had no intention of leaving. This crazy woman. She's going to waste her time. Night Sorrow took out a wine jar and took a sip. Because she can be sure that you did not leave. After all, during the battle, her soul power covered this area, Xiao Kong said. Night Sorrow planned to take action. If this continued, he would be too passive. He might as well continue to fight and look for an opportunity. Just as Night Sorrow was about to take action, Chen Haofei walked towards Night Sorrow. Then, she took out a praying mat and sat cross-legged on top of the space-time pagoda. Look at the chapters in the e-version. Chapter 662. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Originally, he had wanted to fight as a kite. But this guy is courting death, so he can't blame anyone. Night Sorrow took out the reincarnation spear from his back and took a deep breath. With a shake of his arm, he executed the 7-star glorious moon spear and charged out of the space-time treasure pagoda. Night Sorrow appeared right under the praying mat that Chen Haofei was sitting on. The reincarnation spear pierced through the praying mat and directly pierced between Chen Haofei's legs. It then pierced through his dantian and shattered his heart. Soon after, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear shook and sent Chen Haofei flying. After being sent flying by Night Sorrow, Chen Haofei barely managed to stabilize himself after landing on the ground. However, Blood continued to flow down his thighs. Despicable. You stabbed me. Chen Haofei's face was pale. His life was not far away. Wouldn't it have been better if you had left earlier? Why did you have to catch and kill me? I didn't want to kill you either. You're just unlucky to be sitting in this damned place. Night Sorrow said coldly. Night Sorrow didn't want to kill Chen Haofei either, but he had no choice. Chen Haofei's seat was unlucky, and it was Night Sorrow's only chance. I'm not married yet. After saying this, Chen Haofei fell down. Night Sorrow shook his head and took Chen Haofei's storage ring and longsword. Then he rode Tianyu away from the battlefield. Love go little say could Night Sorrow, your instant kill is really powerful. However, the position of the shot is a little inappropriate. Xiao Kong's voice rang out in Night Sorrow's mind. You think I'm willing? She's sitting there, and I have no other place to shoot. I can only shoot with my eyes closed, Night Sorrow said with some hesitation. But it's very powerful, killing with one spear. Xiao Kong's voice carried a hint of a smile. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He took the map and flew to the nearest city with a teleportation circle. While flying, Night Sorrow opened Chen Haofei's storage ring. After taking a look, Night Sorrow discovered that there were no ordinary resources inside, which meant that there were no resources from the City Lord's mansion. Generally, the City Lord's mansion's resources were mostly ordinary resources below the 5th rank. Chen Haofei's storage ring was filled with high-quality resources, which were her personal collection. They were all high-grade crystal stones, and there were also 2 pieces of wind-attributed crystal stones. It took Night Sorrow 4 days to return to Sky City. When Night Sorrow arrived at the training ground, the members of the God-slaying team, who were in the midst of training, rapped on their breastplates to welcome his return. Love go little Seiko, I've thought about it. Massacring small cities and towns isn't a good idea. We're targeting the upper echelons of the various dynasties. There's no need to let others suffer the consequences of war, Night Sorrow said to the group. All right, I've thought about it as well. It's indeed a little inappropriate. Yin Huang nodded. All right then. Everyone, continue your training. Night Sorrow went to one side and sat down, taking out a teapot to make tea. Leader, how did you escape? A 5th-grade venerable is not easy to deal with. Yin Huang did not stand on ceremony. He just sat down and waited to drink some tea. Yang Lei and the other ladies also came over. They were also very interested in this matter. It was simply inconceivable for a void inquiry stage cultivator to escape from the pursuit of a 5th-level venerated realm expert. And I just ran out like that. Night Sorrow lowered his head and sipped his tea. What do you mean by just ran out like that? You didn't do anything? Ling Long looked at Night Sorrow with dissatisfaction. She wanted to hear what happened and use it as a reference. She also wanted to experience that soul-stirring experience. She's dead. However, my methods aren't very glorious. Everyone, don't ask anymore. Night Sorrow sighed and said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone was stunned. A 5th-grade venerable is dead. She was killed by Night Sorrow. As for what Night Sorrow said after that, everyone chose to ignore it automatically. Glorious. What was glorious? Who wouldn't go all out to kill their opponent in a battle? Being able to kill their opponent was already a skill. Besides, how much was the difference in cultivation base between Night Sorrow and his opponent? As a matter of fact, if they were to face each other head-on, Night Sorrow would have no chance at all. However, Chen Haofei was unlucky enough to be sitting on top of the Time Pagoda. At this moment, Wu Lingfei walked over. When he saw her, Night Sorrow stood up and greeted her. Do you want to sit by the big lake for a while? Looking at Night Sorrow, Wu Lingfei asked. She had something to say to Night Sorrow. After that, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei left the training ground. Leader's mood doesn't seem right, Xueling said while looking at the backs of Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei. 13 has his own insistence. Perhaps he feels that he isn't a worthy opponent and feels that it's not glorious. He feels that something is lacking. Yang Lei said. That's probably why Auntie Fei wants to talk to Night Sorrow. Sikong Chiyu said. When they reached the wooden boat, Wu Lingfei personally brewed tea and poured a cup for Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei heard what you said. You can't tell others, but tell Auntie Fei. Night Sorrow nodded and told her about the battle with Chen Haofei. You feel that it's not glorious? There are many factors that determine the outcome of a battle. As long as you can win, everything else doesn't matter. As for the move you used to kill Chen Haofei, that was because she was careless. She wasn't alert enough. Who can you blame for that? Did you think that if you turned your back on the enemy wouldn't attack you? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and frowned. But the position of the spear was too bad. Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. Hee. She was just unlucky. It's nothing. She is a level 5 venerable. She doesn't care about her face to deal with you. What other moves can't you use? You're not allowed to have any more disgraceful thoughts. Auntie Fei thinks that you're a good person. Wu Lingfei gave Night Sorrow a white thumb. Translator. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios, Auntie Fei, let's drink? Hearing Auntie Fei's words, my heart is a lot clearer. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Sure. Auntie Fei will drink with you to our heart's content today. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Auntie Fei, Night Sorrow is very grateful. Every time I am confused, you always give me ideas. If I didn't meet Auntie Fei, I don't know what I would be like right now. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and poured 2 bowls for himself and Wu Lingfei, then stood up and said, You don't have to be so polite with Auntie Fei. Auntie Fei doesn't like it because you help Auntie Fei more. Wu Lingfei waved her hand and let Night Sorrow sit down. Then the two chatted casually. Night Sorrow also asked Wu Lingfei for her opinion on the current situation. Wu Lingfei felt that the other dynasties were in a very bad situation. They didn't want to see Night Moon rise. However, without a saint, it was inconvenient for them to fight. They could only accept the current situation. This was because if anyone attacked Night Moon, Yin Tianlong would attack. He was a true unrivaled venerable. No one could ignore him. Moreover, if there was a war, Yi Lingxie would also attack. Yi Lingxie couldn't stop the enemy's attack, but he could stop the enemy's killing. With all these factors combined, the overall situation should be stable. Back then, Tianfeng dynasty instigated the other dynasties to attack, because Saint Chen Yuan promised to help. Chapter 663. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small? We will provide you with interesting novels to read. After chatting for a while, Wu Lingfei saw that Night Sorrow had returned to normal. Wu Lingfei gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up and left. Night Sorrow thought for a while, and felt that it was nothing. Chen Haofei was a level 5 supremacy and had no bottom line when attacking him. He would not go overboard no matter how he fought. As long as he could kill his opponent, it would be a good move. 86 head? Hair? Night Sorrow continued to train his speed, and the combination of speed and spear skills. This time, Night Sorrow felt the benefits of speed. The last time Yi Shang had fought Jin Sun, he had been in an extremely difficult situation. It could even be said that he had struggled on the verge of death. But this time it was different. Yi Shang was fighting with ease. He could protect himself. With the Origin spiritual liquid, Yi Shang did not need to worry about consumption. He could even escape while fighting. Of course, Night Sorrow was able to kill Chen Haofei by accident. Night Sorrow cultivated until the sky turned dark. Then he packed up and returned to his mansion. We have been waiting for you for a while. If you didn't come, we would have gone to look for you. Yang Lei said. You don't have to wait for me in the future. I am not punctual. Night Sorrow sat down and said, You have a family. You have to think about your family. Also, if we go out and kill like this, it will be easy for us to be tricked. Sikong Chiyu said. But they can't just set traps everywhere. The Tianfeng dynasty is not easy to fight. Let's take turns with the Earth dynasty, Golden Dragon King dynasty, 7-Star dynasty, Red Leaf dynasty, and Green Nether dynasty. They won't be able to rest. Night Sorrow said. We still have to investigate carefully. If the trap is too big, it is easy to fall in and not come out. Aoi reminded Night Sorrow. That's right. They've been dealt a heavy blow. Even high-level venerables might have gone to bury them. If we run into them, we'll be done for. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that they really couldn't afford to make any mistakes. If they really encountered a high-level venerable, the consequences would be total annihilation. After having dinner with the 3 girls and chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went to cultivate. This guy finally listened to my advice for once, but he's still as hardworking as ever. Looking at Night Sorrow's secret training room, Young Lei sighed. Let's talk to him another day. Aoi said after thinking for a while. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow arrived at the training grounds and found a vine. It's been a while since the last time I gave you pointers. Let's see if you've made any progress. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, the god-slaying squad began to spar with Night Sorrow. In the end, they were still beaten up. Everyone had worked very hard in their training, and their weaknesses were already very few. However, Night Sorrow had the ability to find loopholes in their defenses. Ling Long and Yin Huang were no exception. They were also hit by the vines. Leader, I still can't hold on. What's going on? Yin Huang said with a depressed tone. He brought Ling Long, Sikong Chiyu, and Yang Lei to fight against Night Sorrow, who was at the 6th Void Inquiry stage. However, he still got hit by the vines. Your changes are very obvious. However, every time you change the direction of attack and defense, your body becomes a little stiff. It's not smooth and perfect enough. There are loopholes in between. These loopholes are fatal. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. After that, Night Sorrow helped Aoi, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chiyu apply ointment on their wounds. 13. It's really painful. Aoi rubbed her leg and said, 6th Senior Sister, if you can't handle it, you shouldn't participate in this kind of training. Night Sorrow said with heartache. No. I still want to cultivate. Aoi shook her head. Chiyu, are you alright? Night Sorrow then looked at Sikong Chiyu. I'm fine. My body is special. Being hit by the vines is a little painful, but it's not really a serious injury. Sikong Chiyu shook his head. 9th Senior Sister, your arm shouldn't be a big problem as well. Night Sorrow said. And it's painful. You really hit me. Yang Lei gave Night Sorrow a glance and said, I'll pay attention next time. Actually, I just want you to know your weaknesses. Night Sorrow really felt heartache when he looked at the 3 ladies. After that, Night Sorrow brought the 3 ladies to the big lake to rest and relax. He asked Tianyu to catch a few big fishes and roast them. Why hasn't this silver fox broken through yet? Yang Lei asked when she saw Night Sorrow feeding the silver fox. The higher one's innate talent is, the harder it will be for them to break through. I guess they are doing some accumulation. Night Sorrow said. After eating the roasted fish, the 3 ladies made tea for them. Night Sorrow continued to study his speed. He cultivated his speed until it was incomparably smooth. After cultivating for a while, when Night Sorrow was drinking tea, the 3 ladies also asked Night Sorrow how to improve his speed. It was because Night Sorrow's speed was too fast. When he flew back and forth, it was like an afterimage. Night Sorrow did not hide anything from the 3 ladies. He hoped that they could improve their strength. Hence, he told them about his understanding and comprehension of speed. After that, the 3 ladies began to cultivate their movement techniques. Night Sorrow did not stop cultivating as well. He was constantly strengthening his combat techniques. Currently, Night Sorrow's true chi was in the settling cultivation stage. His true chi cultivation was not far from the peak of the Void Inquiry stage. He just needed to cultivate naturally. Only then would his cultivation base be solid, and there would not be any problems when he breaks through. As for his soul power and innate bloodline power, Night Sorrow cultivated them with the help of the Time and Space Pagoda. The cultivation base of the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome was improved when he went into seclusion at night. After having dinner, Night Sorrow sent Aoi off and returned to the main building. He did not cultivate because it had been a while since he accompanied Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu. To Night Sorrow, being with the 2 ladies was like living. To the 2 ladies, it was cultivation. The 3 of them only stopped fighting after midnight. The 2 ladies were covered in sweat. I've imparted the harmony cultivation technique to 6th Senior Sister. However, I don't know how long it will take for her to master it. It's beneficial to her cultivation base, especially her body. While chatting with Night Sorrow, Yang Lei put on her gauze robe and sat in meditation to refine the yang qi that Night Sorrow left behind. It was the same for Sikong Chiyu. Night Sorrow also took the black turtle spirit crystal and began to cultivate. While improving his soul power and innate bloodline power, he was also trying to break through to the 8th level of the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome. Because of the abundant resources and a good foundation, Night Sorrow's cultivation base of the Myriad Dao Treasure Tome improved rapidly. When they woke up in the morning for breakfast, Yiling Xie came and told Night Sorrow about the situation in the Sea of Night Moon. After receiving Night Sorrow's resources, mainly the life spirit fluid, the experts of the Yi clan had all entered seclusion. As time passed, the cultivation base of the Yi clan members would increase greatly. However, when the Yi clan members could return depended on when Yi Linghuan became a saint. In addition, Night Sorrow's father, Prince Wuyo, was also trying to comprehend the laws. My father is so powerful. Night Sorrow looked at Yiling Xie in surprise. Chapter 664. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Very good. As long as my parents are doing well, I'm not worried about that. Baidu search Love Go Xiao Shua www.aichuexis.com, Night Sorrow said. In addition, your younger sister, Yi Nianxiao, is also a very good seedling. She's 11 this year and has already reached the peak stage of element gathering realm. If you hadn't appeared, she would have been Night Moon's future successor. Yiling Xie also explained the situation of Night Sorrow's younger sister. This has nothing to do with whether I appear or not. She is still the heir. Night Sorrow said with a smile. He would not fight with his sister for anything. Your attitude is very good. This is also the best tradition of our Night Moon dynasty. In the past years, our Night Moon dynasty has never had any power struggles. Unity has always been the core theme. However, you are the young master. This is something that no one can and will not change. Moreover, your talent has surpassed all the ancestors of the Night Moon dynasty. This is something that all the core members of the Night Moon dynasty pay attention to. Yiling smiled wickedly as he spoke. He admired Yishan more and more. Yiling looked at Yishan with an evil smile. Night Sorrow nodded. Actually, he didn't really care about these things. He just did what he had to do. There's one more thing. When you have time, you can go to Bayou City to take a look. That's where my mother's clan is. They're also your family, said Yiling Xie. Night Sorrow lowered his head and pondered for a moment before shaking his head. He didn't intend to go. He had already been targeted by a few great dynasties. If he went to Bayou City, it would be equivalent to bringing trouble to them. Night Sorrow didn't want to do such a thing. Love Gome little Seiku, it's up to you. Bayou City isn't big, but it's completely under the control of the Yu clan. Back then, something happened to Night Moon too suddenly. They didn't have time to provide support, but we are definitely Night Moon's allies, said Yiling Xie. He didn't want Night Sorrow to have an opinion of Bayou City. I'll leave it to you, sixth uncle. As for the rest, we'll talk about it when my parents come back, Night Sorrow said. Yiling Xie nodded. He had thought about some things and guessed that Night Sorrow wouldn't go. After all, Night Sorrow wasn't the kind of person to drag others down with him. After chatting with Night Sorrow for a while, Yiling Xie left. He told Night Sorrow that he would be overseeing Night Moon City. If Night Sorrow had something to do, he could go over. In the following days, Night Sorrow cultivated peacefully. In addition, he had also received some news that the other dynasties were restless and were slowly advancing towards the Night Moon dynasty. Conflicts were often occurring. However, these were all battles between supremacies and below, so they were considered small conflicts. Such a situation made Night Sorrow realize that it had been a while since he'd attacked the dynasties. They were being restless again. Without telling the god-slaying team and the girls, Night Sorrow left and rushed towards the territory of the Red Leaves dynasty, which was the most active. The Red Leaves dynasty was the most active. Night Sorrow was going to start a massacre in the heart of the Red Leaves dynasty. Night Sorrow wasn't afraid if there was a trap. If there was a trap, he'd just run. If there wasn't a trap, he'd start a massacre. Night Sorrow also entered the city to investigate first. He only attacked when he didn't find any experts that he couldn't handle. In fact, with so many cities in a dynasty, how many supremacies could defend them? Beginner supremacies were easy prey. Night Sorrow destroyed 2 city lord mansions on his own without receiving any news from the city in the sky. Read the original chapter, Lurg on Sea. Night Sorrow's strategy was different for solo battles and team battles. Every time he finished investigating and felt that it was time to attack, Night Sorrow would first destroy the teleportation formation. Then, he would ride his mount to the City Lord mansion to kill the City Lord. After killing the City Lord, robbing the resources of the City Lord mansion, and leaving behind a note, Night Sorrow would ride on Tianyu and fly around the city. He would set fire to the buildings that belonged to the City Lord mansion, and turn the city into a mess. Night Sorrow would only leave. Night Sorrow was a small target. This made it difficult for the opponent to defend. After half a month, Night Sorrow had destroyed 4 cities in the Red Leaves dynasty. This was because Night Sorrow spent most of his time traveling. However, the city in the sky also received the news at this time. This made Yun Huang, Linglong, Ho Jian, and Xue Ling very anxious and angry. You can't be angry. Night Sorrow is worried that the opponent will dig a big hole and use high-level supremacies to ambush us. If that happens, our god-slaying team will be wiped out. Yang Lei told them the result of their previous analysis. Sigh. Captain is still worried about us because we're not strong enough. Yin Huang sighed. Actually, Captain's worry is reasonable. Even if we succeed every time we go out and kill them 10 times, what about the 11th time? As long as we encounter a deep hole, our god-slaying team will be wiped out, Linglong said. The others didn't say anything because this was the truth. Shaking his head helplessly, Yun Huang went to cultivate. Not being able to help Night Sorrow made him feel very helpless. The massacre of several cities shook the Red Leaves dynasty. As long as one wasn't an idiot, one would know why. It was because the Red Leaves dynasty's troops had attacked the Night Moon dynasty. Although the Red Leaves dynasty was unwilling, they still withdrew their troops from the border. If they didn't return, they wouldn't have enough people and couldn't defend the cities. The Red Leaves dynasty became obedient. Night Sorrow changed his target to the Seven Stars dynasty, and continued to kill the cities of the Seven Stars dynasty. In the underground hall of Tianji Tower, a group of higher-ups was chatting. Lin Yuandao also showed the secret letter in his hand to everyone. This guy is a little crazy. He's giving the 5 dynasties a headache, Hua Haining said. You can't say that he's crazy. He's smart and brave. He changed the situation by himself, and put the 5 dynasties in a passive position. He's a genius, Xie Lanjun said. I'm worried about his safety. It's too dangerous if this goes on, Hua Haining said. For the sake of Night Moon's safety, he used the method of killing to stop killing. At present, this is also the most effective method. This guy hides his strength deeply and kills ruthlessly. Anyone who has an enemy like him will feel dizzy. With his reputation, if it isn't necessary, no one will be willing to provoke such a person, Xie Lanjun said. Hua Haining nodded. No matter what kind of force it is, they would be afraid of a crazy opponent like Night Sorrow. They would never have a day of peace. This guy is really something. You guys have read the information. That Jin Sun was a 6th level venerable. One of his hands was crippled by him. Chun Haofei, who was a 5th level venerable, was also killed by him. This is really something. In the past, there has never been such a ruthless void inquiry stage cultivator. Lin Yuandao looked at Xie Lanjun and said, yes. If nothing goes wrong, he will definitely grow to the unrivaled venerable realm. Xie Lanjun said. She didn't know much about Night Sorrow in the past. Now she also understood a lot about him. As long as he can endure until the members of the Night Clan return, his own safety will no longer be a problem. Besides, the overall situation will also change. Lin Yuandao said. He really hoped that Night Sorrow could hold on. On Night Sorrow's side, he didn't care about what other people were talking about. He just started killing in the 7-Star dynasty. In the main hall of the 7-Star dynasty, a group of people was having a discussion. Grandpa, I want to fight. This guy is too arrogant. He really thinks that he's a big shot. He thinks that he can change the situation by himself. I must kill him. A woman stood up and said. Chapter 665. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by Xiao? we provide you with wonderful novels to read. Knight Sorrow, dressed in a white battle robe, wandered around the various cities of the Seven-Star Dynasty. In the eyes of those who didn't know him, he looked like a young master who was sightseeing. No one would have thought that he was actually a killing god. Baidu search, Love Go divided by Xiao Xiao Shua www.aichux. Knight Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He just took it as a trip. If there was a suitable city, he would make a move. If there wasn't, he would endure and wander to the next city. Once again he came to a city called Meteor City. Knight Sorrow found a tea house near the city lord's mansion. He ordered a pot of tea and observed the city lord's mansion. After drinking a pot of tea, Knight Sorrow was startled because an acquaintance had come. It was Star Tiger, the one who didn't win the previous battle. Damn. It's you bastard. Seeing Knight Sorrow, Star Tiger was startled for a moment. Then he sat opposite Knight Sorrow. Baidu search, Love Go divided by Xiao Shua www.aichux. Come hehe. I didn't expect to see you here. Knight Sorrow raised his teacup at Star Tiger. This lord doesn't want to see you. Nothing good happens when I see you. Last time, I was tricked by you. You want to trick me again this time? Star Tiger was a little depressed. Last time when something happened, his family didn't say anything. However, he took the initiative to ask for a demotion, and became the city lord here. Knight Sorrow's appearance made Star Tiger feel very conflicted. He couldn't do anything to Knight Sorrow. The news of Knight Sorrow killing Chen Haofei had already spread. Meeting once is a coincidence. Meeting twice is fate. This time I'll leave. Looking at Star Tiger, Knight Sorrow stood up and left the tea house. He didn't want to make things difficult for a real man. Love Go Xiao Shua Wuku, if you don't make things difficult for me, then no matter what the Seven-Star Dynasty decides, I won't appear on the battlefield against the Night Moon Dynasty. Star Tiger shouted as he looked at Knight Sorrow's back. Knight Sorrow waved his hand and left the vicinity of the city lord's mansion. He took the teleportation array and left. Knight Sorrow hated Seven-Star Dynasty, but he had a good impression of Star Tiger. He didn't want to go against his own wishes. Follow your heart. Knight Sorrow did as he pleased. The city lord is here. Who are you greeting? A man also entered the tea house. Vice City Lord also came to drink tea. I just sent away a jinx. I didn't expect him to give me face. Otherwise, our city lord's mansion would be in ruins. Star Tiger said with some emotion. That fella just now was Knight Sorrow? The Vice City Lord looked at Star Tiger in astonishment and asked. Yes, he is much stronger than before. If he wants to fight, then I can only watch him burn, kill, and plunder. I'm not his match. Star Tiger said. The Vice City Lord didn't say anything. He knew that he had avoided a disaster. After Knight Sorrow changed cities, he continued to find an inn near the city lord's mansion to rest or go to a tea house to drink tea, and investigate the city lord's mansion. In the next 6 days, Knight Sorrow destroyed 2 more cities, and killed 2 level 3 supremacies. After receiving the news, Star Tiger didn't hate Knight Sorrow. He knew that if Knight Sorrow attacked him, he might not be able to survive. Feeling that the Seven-Star Dynasty was about done, Knight Sorrow went to the Qingming Dynasty, and started to burn and kill. In the current situation, Knight Sorrow felt that the Tianfeng Dynasty was the most difficult to deal with. After the Tianji Tower took care of the Tianfeng Dynasty, the Tianfeng Dynasty's territory became smaller. Therefore, it was easy to defend. Each city lord's mansion often had people whose cultivation level Knight Sorrow couldn't see. After cleaning up the Qingming Dynasty, Knight Sorrow planned to return. He had been out for a long time. If he didn't return, others would be worried. The other dynasties were also more obedient at the border. Flying Star City's city lord's mansion had a guest. It was a green-robed woman. This woman was personally received by Star Tiger. Ahu, why did you come to this city? You can go to a better city or stay in the capital. It wasn't your fault that you couldn't defeat him last time. After sitting down in the city lord's mansion, the green-robed woman took a sip of tea and said, I don't want to stay in the capital. The atmosphere in the capital is too extravagant. It is not a good place for cultivation. As for the big cities, the city lords of the big cities have too many things to do. Their cultivation would be delayed. If it weren't for Big Nephew, he wouldn't have been able to keep an eye on Flying Star City. What's wrong? The green-robed woman asked. That night sorrow came again. However, he didn't touch the Flying Star City, because we had fought before. Otherwise, I don't know if I could survive. This Flying Star City would definitely be in ruins. Star Tiger said with a sigh. It seems that guy isn't someone without a bottom line. He's not incurable. The green-robed woman said. She was Princess Luo of the 7-Star Dynasty. Her name was Sing Lo. Yes, I admire him. He has the courage of a man. And look at what he did alone. The Red Leaf Dynasty didn't compromise? Our family's troops didn't retreat? Isn't it the same as admitting defeat? Star Tiger said. This is undeniable. There has never been such a person in history. He has indeed opened the river of history. Ant came out to capture him. However, he seems to have appeared in the territory of the Qingming dynasty. Sing Lo said. He won't stop. Who knows when he will appear again? Star Tiger said with a smile. This guy is very cautious. He also has a lot of backup plans. He's afraid of being ambushed. This time he didn't bring a team. He's done it alone. During this time, he has destroyed many city lords' mansions. His resources are shocking. Sing Lo said with a clenched fist. Ant, don't tell me you want to do the same. We're not suitable. Star Tiger said with a smile. If our 7-Star Dynasty had enemies, Ant would do the same. However, our 7-Star Dynasty only has one opponent, Night Moon. This won't work. Sing Lo said with a shake of her head. When Night Sorrow returned to Sky City, he was met with looks of disdain. This time, it's your fault. It might not work with more people, but with just the two of us, it won't be a problem. Didn't we have a good working relationship in the past? Yin Huang said when he saw Night Sorrow. Yin Huang, can't you have some bottom line? Why didn't you ask the captain to lead everyone? Why did you ask the captain to lead you alone? Ling Long said angrily. I'm mainly worried that they will set us up. If we were ambushed, we would suffer heavy losses. We can't afford the consequences. Night Sorrow explained his reason. The members of the God-slaying team didn't say anything, because what Night Sorrow said was the truth. You guys go ahead. I'll go back to take a shower and tidy up. Night Sorrow looked at his clothes and said. Night Sorrow went back to take a shower and rest. Yang Lei waved to the other members of the God-slaying squad. We're going home too. Too shameless. This is a public display of affection. Ling Long looked at Yang Lei, Sikong Chiyu, and Aoi disdainfully as they followed Night Sorrow back to the mansion. Actually, you're just jealous. Yin Huang pouted. I'm jealous my ass. I just feel aggrieved that I can't go out and fight. I have to hurry up and cultivate. It's so frustrating that I can't raise my realm. Ling Long said as she rubbed her blonde hair, which was the same as Yin Huang's. Only one positive T version. Oh, all others are Y is robber, O version. Chapter 666. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow returned to the mansion and went to take a bath. Yang Lei called for the servants to prepare food and wine while Sikong Chiyu brewed a pot of tea. After taking a bath, Night Sorrow felt refreshed and at ease when he saw the three girls. Drink some tea and relax. Aoi poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. 6 senior sister, are you used to it? Yi Shang asked Qing Ji after taking the teacup. Everything is fine. You don't have to worry, Aoi said with a smile. Chiyu, have you noticed? 13 is a little biased. He has always doted on his 6th senior sister. Yang Lei said as she held Sikong Chiyu's hand. Night Sorrow and Aoi smiled. Actually, 6th senior sister has a gentle personality and doesn't like to talk about many things. That's why Night Sorrow is worried. We can take care of ourselves and we'll talk about it. Everyone chatted casually and the atmosphere was very harmonious. The 3 girls got along very well, just like sisters. 6th senior sister, here are 2 wind attribute crystals. Take them and strengthen your attributes. Night Sorrow handed the wind attribute crystals he got from Chen Haofei to Aoi. This is good. My attributes can be strengthened too. Aoi smiled as she accepted the wind attribute crystals. Night Sorrow then told Aoi that her actual combat strength should be improved in the direction of speed. Wind Attribute Cultivator's strength was speed. Currently, Aoi's movement technique was flexible enough. She was elegant and free, but she lacked speed. After eating, Yanglei suggested that the four of them go to the wooden boat under the lake to watch the night sky, drink tea and chat. It was rare for Night Sorrow to have some free time, so he told the three girls about his trip, and also about his encounter with Star Tiger. That's the right thing to do. It's better to leave some leeway in everything. Besides, he's also a member of Tianji Tower. Even if we fight against 7-Star Dynasty on Night Moon, it won't be awkward for us to meet in the future, Sikong Chiyu said. Most importantly, he's a very straightforward person. He says whatever he wants to say. Since that's the case, there's no need for me to make things difficult for him. Besides, choosing another city to attack won't be too difficult. Night Sorrow laughed as he explained the reason why he didn't make things difficult for Star Tiger. The environment is so beautiful. We should get a big boat in the future, the kind that we can live on. We can set it out when we have time. We can go deep into the lake and have fun for a few days. Aoi shared her opinion. Then we can find a craftsman to make one. You can decide what kind of boat you want. It's fine as long as it's comfortable. If it's too extravagant, then it's meaningless. Night Sorrow shared his opinion. Aoi and the other two girls nodded. They all understood Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was a casual person who didn't pursue material comforts. If Night Sorrow was such a person, then with his current wealth, he could buy as big and luxurious a mansion as he wanted. Building a large manor wouldn't be a problem. After drinking 2 cups of tea, Sikong Chiyu looked at the fish on the lake and said, "Let's grill fish under the night sky?" "Then you guys do it. I'll sort out the materials." Night Sorrow nodded to the 3 girls, and began to sort out the harvest. The operation this time had allowed Yishan to earn a large amount of resources. Yishan now had more than a dozen extra storage rings. 2 of them were filled with high-grade crystals, 3 were filled with mid-grade crystals, and several other storage rings were filled with materials. "You guys eat and play. I'll refine some pills. There are too many materials," Night Sorrow said. 13 You should keep the materials. After you enter the Venerable Realm, you'll need materials to improve your alchemy skills to the Grandmaster Realm. At that time, you'll need materials to improve your proficiency. Also, the quality of the pills you refine after you enter the Grandmaster Realm will be completely different from the ones you refine now. Aoi said. "That's true. Then I won't refine them for now." Night Sorrow collected the materials. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Chapter 5 After eating grilled fish, they cultivated under the night sky for a while before returning to the mansion. In the following days, Night Sorrow would walk around the practice field after he finished cultivating his spear art in the morning. He would tell everyone about his understanding of actual combat. Although Night Sorrow was young, everyone admired his combat skills. They all wanted to learn from Night Sorrow's combat skills and experience. This included Yin Huang and Ling Long. In the afternoon, Night Sorrow would return to the lake to play with Tianyu and Silver Fox. Then he would cultivate his spear art and movement technique. Aoi and the other 2 girls would call Night Sorrow back to the mansion after they finished cultivating every day. Night Sorrow loved the feeling of being called home every day. Yi Lingxia would often come over to talk to Night Sorrow about the situation in Night Moon City. After listening to Yi Lingxia's explanation again, Night Sorrow nodded. "I still have teleportation crystals. However, if we continue to set up teleportation arrays, we will suffer heavy losses if we are attacked." That is indeed the case. For now, we should focus on the construction and recovery of Night Moon City, Wuyo City, and Wuemo City. These 3 cities are the foundation of Night Moon. When the clansmen return and the Night Moon City stands strong, we can build other areas, Yi Lingxia said after listening to Night Sorrow. The Night Clan has more clansmen. They don't have enough resources in the Night Moon Sea. Give these spirit stones to them for cultivation. Night Sorrow took out 3 storage rings. One of them contained high-grade spirit stones, while the other 2 contained mid-grade spirit stones. All right. However, you can't go out and fight alone anymore. It's too dangerous. Our Night Moon dynasty really can't afford to take this risk. Yilingxia looked at Night Sorrow and said. Currently, the core members of the Night Moon dynasty were not around. The Night Moon dynasty was in a low state. Otherwise, Night Sorrow, who was a direct descendant of the Night Moon dynasty, whose innate talent surpassed all the predecessors of the Night Moon dynasty, would definitely be one of the most important people to protect. Why would they let him go out and take risks like this? Actual combat is the best way to temper a person. Without going through actual combat, how can a void inquiry stage cultivator like me fight against a venerable realm expert? I've already gotten over it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. What you said makes sense. However, there must always be a limit. Your sixth uncle is really worried about you. However, I really can't let you go out and kill like this. Yilingxia said. This was the limit. If a peak venerable realm expert like Yilingxia went to the enemy's territory to kill, the enemy would no longer tolerate it. They would directly engage in a life-and-death battle. At that time, even if the Yun clan dynasty was holding them back, the other 5 great dynasties would not stop either. It would definitely be a bloody battle. The Night Moon dynasty would be ravaged once again. Night Sorrow was different. Because Night Sorrow was not a venerable realm expert yet, the enemy certainly could not send a venerable realm expert to the Night Moon dynasty's territory to kill. It would be useless for anyone below the venerable realm to come here. If they could not achieve what Night Sorrow did, it would be no different from sending themselves to their deaths. Sixth uncle, what we can control now is stability. As long as we can stabilize the situation, and wait until our clansmen with high combat power return, everything will be fine. Night Sorrow looked at Yilingxia and said. Chapter 667. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I'll provide you with a wonderful novel to read. I haven't seen the glory of the Night Moon dynasty, but I will witness the rise of the Night Moon dynasty once again. I will witness the process. Love gom little say, Chu Night Sorrow said. You're wrong. You're a part of the rise of the Night Moon dynasty. You're an indispensable part. You're the most important part, Yilingxia said to Night Sorrow. It's not as serious as sixth uncle says. I'm just doing what Night Moon dynasty's people should do, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's not up to you or sixth uncle to decide. Night Moon dynasty's people have their own judgment. Yilingxia shook his head and shook off some of his emotions. He knew that the future of the Night Moon dynasty was given to him by Night Sorrow. The current situation of the Night Moon dynasty was stabilized by Night Sorrow. The people of the Night Moon dynasty were able to come out because of Night Sorrow's resources. Sixth uncle Night Sorrow, the food is ready. Aoi called out to Night Sorrow and Yilingxia. After that, Yishang and the 3 women ate with Yilingxia. Yilingxia was happy. He was happy to see Night Sorrow and the 3 women getting along well. He was happy to see Night Sorrow taking charge of things on his own. He hadn't been this happy in over 20 years. While they were eating, Wu Lingfei arrived. She had returned to the eastern Xian region some time ago. Baidu search, AI go female sign Xiao say www.ai to access. So when he saw Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow got up and added a chair for her. King Lingxia is also here. Wu Lingfei nodded at Yilingxia, who cupped his hands in greeting. Auntie Fei, is something the matter? Night Sorrow asked Wu Lingfei, who had a cold expression on her face. Yes, I just came back from the Medicine Valley. To be precise, I just came back from Taichuan behind the bamboo forest peak where you live. Wu Lingfei nodded and said, Did something happen over there? Night Sorrow stood up. Baidu search, AI go female sign Xiao say www.ai to access. Yes, there's a problem, and it's not just there. There's also a problem in the Qingtian domain, similar to what happened to Taichuan, said Wu Lingfei. What's the situation now? Night Sorrow asked worriedly. He didn't care about other places, but he couldn't ignore the Medicine Valley. P. Genuine initials XT hair. We can confirm that it's a spatial world close to the 9-domain world. The canyon behind the Medicine Valley, and the spatial black hole in the Qingtian domain, are connected to the 9-domain world. Now the war in the Qingtian domain has begun. The situation in the eastern Xian domain's Medicine Valley is not serious, but the netherworld energy has already erupted. Baidu search, AI go female sign Xiao say www.ai2xs.com, said Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow paced back and forth anxiously. He was worried about the situation in the Medicine Valley, but he was also worried that something would happen in the Night Moon Empire after he left. He couldn't let go of this. Auntie Fei reached the entrance to Taichuan in the Eastern Xian domain, but she couldn't enter. She used the power of laws to resist the pressure, but the result was a spatial collapse. After entering Taichuan, the spatial collapse continued. In fact, it was equivalent to entering spatial turbulence. She couldn't enter the real Taichuan. Your master tried to enter, but he was directly blasted out by the power of laws in Taichuan. Wu Lingfei explained the situation to Night Sorrow. In other words, it requires people below the Venerable Realm to enter? Asked Night Sorrow. That's right. Wu Lingfei nodded. What will come sooner or later. You can't avoid it even if you want to. Sixth uncle, I'll have to trouble you with Night Moon's matter. I grew up in the Eastern Xian domain, and the Medicine Valley is my sect. When they need me, I can't escape, said Night Sorrow to Yulingxia. Master Wu Kei, Night Sorrow is the only direct descendant of the Night Moon Empire. Is there no other way? Yilingxia didn't want Night Sorrow to take the risk. Every high-level cultivator knew what kind of place Taichuan was. Wait for me to finish. The entrance to the Eastern Xian domain is already guarded, but the situation in the Qingtian domain is more serious. Nether beasts have already rushed out, but they were killed by the Qingtian domain's people. Saints and venerables can't enter, so they can only send in rank 5 cultivators. 2 batches went in, but only 1 person survived. His arm was broken, and his shoulder was bitten off by the nether beast, said Wu Lingfei. What does that have to do with me? I don't care about the Qingtian domain's matters, said Night Sorrow resolutely. In fact, it has something to do with you. This is the crisis of the 9-domain world. Saints who control the power of laws, which is the origin energy, can feel that the origin energy of the 9-domain world is being attacked. Therefore, the saints of the 9-domain world, except for those who live in seclusion, have all gathered together to discuss how to solve this problem. In the end, they decided to ask you to come out because you are the strongest among the rank 5 cultivators. Wu Lingfei explained the current situation in detail. In other words, if the other rank 5 cultivators can't do it, then they need my child Night Moon to charge forward? Yilingxia was a bit angry. When Night Moon was in trouble, no one cared. Now that the 9-domain world was in trouble, they thought of Night Sorrow. He naturally didn't want that. The atmosphere was a bit awkward because this wasn't a small matter. It could be said that it was fatal. Yilingxia was right. The Silver Dusk Saints side has made their stance clear. As long as Night Sorrow is willing to fight, the Qingtian domain will no longer pursue the matter of the Spacetime Pagoda. In other words, they admit that the Spacetime Pagoda belongs to Night Sorrow. In addition, the saints of the 9-domain world have also made it clear that for the next 100 years, all the powers of the Grand Pure domain are not allowed to attack Night Moon's empire. Of course, Aunt Fei is only here to pass on a message. Not attacking Night Moon for 100 years? That's enough time, muttered Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow. Yilingxia looked at Night Sorrow and roared. Sixth uncle, I'm also risking my life to fight the other 5 dynasties. Why? It's to give our Night Moon's empire a chance to breathe. It's to buy time for our Night Clan to return. 100 years is enough for Night Moon, said Night Sorrow with a sigh. 13th junior brother, you have to think about yourself, said Aoi as she pulled on Night Sorrow's arm. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chiyu, Yanglei and Aoi. 6th senior sister, I have no other choice. The entrance to Taichuan is in Medicine Valley, in the Eastern Xian region. I should have gone to fight. I was originally worried about Night Moon's empire, but since the saints of the 9 domains have given their word, that's enough. I haven't let anyone down in the past 20 years. I've never let down the heavens or the earth. It's just that I now owe Chuyu, 9th senior sister, and 6th senior sister, said Night Sorrow as he looked at Sikong Chuyu, Yanglei and Aoi. Sikong Chuyu, Yanglei and Aoi's eyes filled with tears, but they didn't say anything. They knew that Night Sorrow had already decided to fight, so they could only support him. Sixth uncle, I'm sorry. Knight Sorrow bowed to Yilingxia. Why? Yilingxia roared at the sky. The bitterness in his heart was indescribable. Knight Sorrow was risking his life to buy time for Night Moon. He felt bitter because Night Moon's future was on the shoulders of a mere 20 years old. Aunt Fei, I still hope that you can think about it. Taichuan was once an ancient battlefield. At that time, anyone could enter and leave as they pleased. But it's not like that anymore because the space has mutated. It's hard to say what's going on inside, said Wu Lingfei. Chapter 668. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? We will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Auntie Fei, you can go back. Tell them I accept the challenge. Before I go, I want to pay my respects to the Night Clan's ancestors, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Then go back and tell them. Auntie Fei will come back. Wu Lingfei nodded and left Sky City. She wanted to object to Night Sorrow's decision, but she had no reason to. Night Sorrow wanted to buy time for Night Moon, and also fight for the 9 zones. Yilingxia also left. He felt very sad, but he wanted to give Night Sorrow and Sikong Chiyu some space. 13. Can we not go? Young Lei said as she pulled Night Sorrow's hand. 9th senior sister, as a man, there are some things I can't avoid, Night Sorrow said in a low voice. Aoi and Sikong Chiyu didn't say anything. They knew that no one could change Night Sorrow's decision. Yi Shang picked up the teacup and took a sip. He looked at the 3 women with a smile on his face. I've been through a lot of storms and waves. When have I not returned safely? This time will be the same. Night Sorrow and the 3 girls quietly finished their dinner. Then they took the teleportation array and rushed to Night Moon City. When the 4 of them came out of the teleportation array, they found that the path to Night Moon City was filled with people. They were all citizens of Night Moon. Everyone looked sad because Night Sorrow had said that Night Moon would fight for 100 years with his life. Night Moon's young master, the noblest young master, was going to fight for everyone with his life. How could the people of Night Moon feel good? Night Sorrow nodded at the people on both sides. Then he led the 3 girls to Night Moon City. Night Moon City was already under repair. Many places had already been renovated. Yi Shang took the 3 women to the central area of the Night Moon sky. Yi Shang took a look at the steel, and then turned to look at the Night Moon Hall that was originally dilapidated, but had been repaired. Looking at the groove, Night Sorrow took out the stone tablet from his storage ring. After wiping the dust off it, Night Sorrow jumped into the air. His left finger moved, and the groove for Night Moon City's tablet to hang a bit bigger. Then, with a wave of his right hand, Night Sorrow pushed the tablet into the groove. J equals newer. L the soonest AW, Night Moon City. Yilingxia shouted. What followed was a chorus of cheers. Night Sorrow returned to the stone tablet, and took the incense that Yi Linglan had lit for him. Yi Clan's ancestors. Night Sorrow of the Yi Clan offers incense to the ancestors. Night Sorrow will go to battle. With Night Sorrow's battle, the Night Moon dynasty will once again stand tall in the 9 domains world. Perhaps Night Sorrow won't be able to see that glorious scene, but knowing that it will come is enough. Night Sorrow bowed and inserted the incense into the cauldron. Put on the king's battle armor. Yilingxia waved his arm. At that moment, Yi Xiaoyuan and Yi Xiaoyun walked over with a large red tray. Yilingxia walked up to the tray and touched the pure white battle armor. In the past, whenever the Yi clan's emperor or prince went to battle, they would always wear our Night Moon's king's battle armor. Wherever they went, they were invincible. This time, 6th uncle will put on the battle armor for you. At that moment, he was an elder of the clan and speaking as Night Sorrow's 6th uncle. 6th uncle, Night Sorrow doesn't have the right. Night Sorrow shook his head because he heard Yilingxia's words. Those were the battle armor of the emperor and prince. If you don't have the right, who does? You are the pride of Night Moon. Be obedient. Yilingxia's voice was choked and his body trembled. It was clear that his heart wasn't calm. Young master, please change. Night Moon's citizens all bowed. At that moment, Yilingxia grabbed the battle armor with both hands and shook it. The battle armor unfurled in the wind. It was a pure white battle armor with silver stars embroidered on the chest. The stars surrounded a bright moon. Aoi reached out to help Night Sorrow take off his outer robes. Yilingxia then draped the king's battle armor over Night Sorrow's body. Greetings, young master. Seeing Yilingxia help Night Sorrow put on the king's battle armor, Night Moon's citizens all knelt on one knee. Rise. Night Sorrow waved his arm. Sixth uncle, everyone. When I, Night Sorrow, return, I will drink and chat with everyone here. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards everyone, and then led the three women to the teleportation array. Farewell, young master. We await your triumphant return. Seeing Night Sorrow's back, Yilingxia bowed. Everyone else knelt on one knee again. When they reached the teleportation array, Night Sorrow turned around and waved at everyone. Then he nodded at Yilingxia and started the teleportation array. Night Sorrow returned to Sky City and went directly to the lake. Tianyu and Silver Fox were playing here. Sixth senior sister, Tianyu will fight with me. Silver Fox will stay behind for you to take care of. Night Sorrow said to Aoi as he reached out to pet Silver Fox. Silver Fox was the closest to Aoi. When he was young, Aoi had taken care of him, so they had some feelings for each other. While Night Sorrow was staring at the lake, Wu Lingfei arrived. Behind her were the members of the god-slaying team. Captain, can't you bring us along? Ho Jian asked Night Sorrow. No, I can't. Everyone should cultivate well. When I return, I want to see a different side of you, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, don't reject me. I won't be a burden to you. Yin Huang said as he took 2 steps forward. Me too. I won't be a burden to you either. Ling Long also walked to Yin Huang's side. Night Sorrow, don't reject me yet. Bring everyone to the entrance of Taichuan. Go in and take a look. If it's possible, bring everyone in. If it's dangerous, then we'll decide, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded at Wu Lingfei and looked at Ma Zhuang and the others. Ma Zhuang, Tang Tian, Chu Ning, pack up and return to the Medicine Valley. 13th uncle, why is that? Chu Ning asked anxiously. Cut the crap. Do as I say, Night Sorrow growled. Then he looked at Aoi, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chiyu. Night Sorrow, don't say anything. When we paid our respects to the ancestors of the Yi clan, I said that I'm Aoi of the Yi clan. Isn't that enough? Aoi said. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow nodded. Even if they were at the entrance of Taichuan, it was still up to him to decide whether the god-slaying team could enter or not. Then, under Wu Lingfei's lead, the group rushed to the Qingtian region. The entrance of Taichuan was in Dongxiang City. After teleporting to Dongxiang City, Night Sorrow asked everyone to put on their masks. After flying for half an hour, the group arrived in front of a big mountain outside Dongxiang City. Black energy was rolling in front of the mountain. There were many camps in front of the mountain. Many people were already stationed there. Wu Lingfei led a group of people to the big tent in the middle. As soon as they arrived in front of the tent, a group of people walked out. The person in front was Xie Lanjun. Half a body's length behind her was a silver-haired woman. Night Sorrow knew that this person was the Qingtian region's saint, Yin Shi. She was also one of the people who wanted the space-time pagoda. Chapter 669. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow nodded and looked at the others. Night Sorrow knew that they were all saints. Then Night Sorrow's eyes fell on Saint Silver Dusk. You don't have to look at me like that. I said that as long as you fight for the 9-domain world, I won't mention anything about the space-time pagoda. Inshi said to Night Sorrow. I really don't care about that. Could it be that you, a saint, are going to steal my treasures? I am fighting for the 9-domain world. It has nothing to do with the space-time treasure pagoda, because the space-time treasure pagoda has always been mine. Night Sorrow said as he looked at Inshi. Inshi was rendered speechless by Night Sorrow's words. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. The result will be the same anyway, Xie Lanjun said with a smile. She really liked Night Sorrow. She liked Night Sorrow's domineering aura. Even if the person standing in front of her was a saint, so what? Similarly, he was unwilling to admit defeat. Who is Chen Yuan? Night Sorrow asked after glancing around. I am Tai Yuan Saint. Show some respect. Chen Yuan was enraged when Night Sorrow called him by his name. He was a saint, But Night Sorrow had no respect for him at all. Respect? Why should I respect him? Have you done anything worthy of my respect? Night Sorrow stared at Chen Yuan. Baidu search AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com. You really deserve to die. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Chen Yuan was furious. It was fine if Night Sorrow didn't respect him, but he didn't give him any face at all. Heh, I deserve to die. Are you planning to attack me? Night Sorrow sneered. Chen Yuan, that's enough. We've tolerated your past actions. What else do you want? Xia Lanjun glared at Chen Yuan coldly. I want to know if I fight, Night Moon will be safe for 100 years. Can you guarantee that? Night Sorrow asked. Of course. All of you have to make a promise in front of Night Sorrow. Xia Lanjun looked at the saints behind her and said. Following this, the others nodded and one of the elders said, You're fighting for the 9 domains world. Anyone who doesn't keep their word will be provoking all of us, and no one will tolerate it. However, if Night Moon declares war, this rule will be voided. That's good. I'll fight later. After confirming the saint's promise, Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't need to ask for anything in the Medicine Valley. As long as Wu Lingfei was there, the Medicine Valley would be safe. Alright, you guys go get some rest. I'll tell you about the entry later, Xia Lanjun said to Night Sorrow. After that, Night Sorrow led the god-slaying squad to set up camp. The other saints also entered the large tent to discuss matters. Chen Yuan, what happened back then is in the past. We won't pursue it any further. If you still want to cross the line, don't blame me for not tolerating you. If something goes wrong in this matter, I'll investigate it to the end, Xia Lanjun said. If anyone goes back on their word, I'll fight them to the end. Wu Lingfei also expressed her attitude. Chen Yuan's expression didn't look too good. This was all directed at him. After setting up camp, Night Sorrow gathered everyone in the large tent in the center. Don't take off your masks. You still have to hide your identities. Currently, many of the people here are our enemies. Night Sorrow didn't care about himself. It didn't matter whether he knew them or not. However, he was very concerned about the safety of the god-slaying squad. Everyone nodded. They knew that this was very important. It's good that you know. We'll discuss the battle plan later depending on the situation, Night Sorrow said. After Night Sorrow arranged for everyone to rest, Xia Lanjun, Silver Dusk Saint, and the old man who spoke earlier came over. Wu Lingfei also followed them into the tent. Night Sorrow, this is Zhen Haixing of the North Sea Domain. The blue-robed old man was introduced to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow greets Zhen Haixing. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Zhen Haixing. No need to be so polite, young man. You're a good man. Zhen Haixing nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow ignored Silver Dusk Saint because he was on opposing sides. The matter between him and Jiyu's family wasn't over. Xia Lanjun then explained the situation. The black hole in front of the mountain wall was the entrance to the Supreme River ancient battlefield. A few days ago, everyone had sent people in, but their life tablets had all shattered. The longest person had only survived for 5 minutes. There was one person who didn't leave the tunnel, but he was severely injured. He said that the Supreme River ancient battlefield was filled with terrifying nether beasts. Anyone who entered would be surrounded. I expected this situation. What's my mission? Night Sorrow asked. Find out what's going on in this space. The Supreme River ancient battlefield. Other than the 9 regions world, which other worlds are connected to? Xia Lanjun said. Then I'll say it. According to what you said, I'm going in to investigate. However, even if I find the tunnel, I don't know what restrictions there are. If there are restrictions, I can't enter. How do I know what worlds are connected to? Night Sorrow asked. We'll give you some memory crystals. You can record it and analyze it when you come back, Xia Lanjun said. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded. Also, make a life tablet and leave a trace of your soul power here. We'll know if you're okay, Silver Sunset Sage said to Night Sorrow. There's no need for that. Auntie Faye, take this. You'll know what's going on. Night Sorrow took the ice silk bag from his waist and handed it to Wu Lingfei. Then Xia Lanjun gave Night Sorrow a few crystal balls. Okay, I'll go out tomorrow. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Then Xiaolongjun, Silver Sunset Sage, and True Ocean Sage left. However, Wu Lingfei didn't leave. She still had a lot to say to Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, if I don't come back, help me look after the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. What nonsense are you talking about? You'll definitely come back. You can move freely in the death space, and you can do the same this time. If you feel that you're lacking a lot after entering, find a place to go into seclusion and enter the Venerable Realm. Then, your ability to protect yourself will be strengthened again, Wu Lingfei advised Night Sorrow. Okay, I know. I have the space-time pagoda to protect me. It won't be that easy to kill me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. The Golden Phoenix soft armor consumes a lot of energy for you now, but it can still block the opponent's sure kill attack at a critical moment. Once you enter the Venerable Realm, you'll be able to use it freely, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow still had the protective bracelet given to him by Tianji Tower, but it was useless. It would shatter after a few attacks from a beginner Venerable Realm expert. It was useless. ## Unique VX Original 8 Edition. Question everyone else is a thief /W edition. The God-slaying squad insisted on coming, but I don't want to bring them in. It's too dangerous. Auntie Fei will bring them back to the Eastern Profound region later. The outside world is too chaotic, and several dynasties want to kill them. Night Sorrow was a little worried about the God-slaying squad. Don't worry, you're Auntie Fei's relative. Auntie Fei will arrange everything for you. What you need to do is to investigate the situation inside while preserving your life. This is a map of the ancient Taichuan battlefield that Auntie Fei found in the Tianji Tower's library. Take a look at it carefully. Wu Lingfei took out a yellowed map for Night Sorrow. Chapter 670. Genius 1 Second Remember Love /Go Little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. After studying the map, Night Sorrow discovered that the Taichuan ancient battlefield was 3 million miles wide. After some calculations, Night Sorrow knew that the eastern Xian region, and this place should be at the two extremes of the ancient battlefield. While Night Sorrow was studying the map, the three girls entered the tent and made tea for Night Sorrow. Don't worry. I have a trump card that can save my life. If I want to hide, I have the space-time pagoda. If I want to run, my speed is comparable to a peak elementary supremacy. In terms of agility and dodging, it is even stronger. Night Sorrow drank a mouthful of water and said with a smile, Yes, although we know that you are very powerful, it is impossible for us not to worry. Sikong Chiu looked at Night Sorrow and took a deep breath. Aoi took out 2 storage belts and said, When I came out with you, I brought some wine. I planned to give it to you bit by bit when you ran out. Now that I don't know when you will come out, I will give it to you first. Sixth senior sister knows me well. Night Sorrow smiled and said as he put away the storage belts. This is tea. Take some. If you feel depressed, make a pot of tea. Sikong Chiyu took out a packet of calming tea. Night Sorrow continued to study the map. He was not worried that he would be killed. After all, it was almost impossible for anyone who was not a high-level supremacy to kill him. Love/go/little talk/WAIQX. COM After resting for a night, Night Sorrow gathered the members of the God-slaying team and gave them a few instructions. Then he tightened the reincarnation spear on his back and walked towards the camp in the middle. Are you ready? If you are, we will open the seal. Xiaolongjun looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes. Aunt Fei, if I don't come out in 2 hours, let them go back. Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Next, Xiaolongjun and the others arrived before the mountain wall. As they waved their arms, the energy before the black hole began vibrating. Next, gray-colored wolf-type Yao beasts charged out. Let's go. Night Sorrow raised his protective shield, cut through the black energy, and charged into the black hole. Using a protective air shield to cut through space. The speed of this movement technique is really overbearing. Xiaolongjun muttered in a low voice. She had given the flickering light passing shadow book to Night Sorrow, but she didn't expect that Night Sorrow had already cultivated it to such an extent. As soon as Night Sorrow entered the spatial passageway, he could feel the oppressive deathly energy in front of him. Night Sorrow activated his protective barrier and slashed forward. After 2 breaths of time, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. This was a gray spatial world, and the aura was very stifling. While Night Sorrow was observing, countless attacks flew towards Night Sorrow. Yishang stomped on the ground and dodged swiftly in midair. At the same time, he continued to observe. After observing for a while, Night Sorrow discovered that there were many demonic beasts gathered at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. They shouldn't be considered demonic beasts because the aura of these beasts was different from demonic beasts. They had a special aura. These demonic beasts were of the same species, but their cultivation levels and body sizes were different. They all looked very similar to wolves, but the only difference was that they had a single horn. The horn's size and color were also different. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuexis.com quickly dodging. Night Sorrow observed the characteristics of these strange beasts. These strange beasts used their horns to determine their cultivation. None of them were below rank 3. Rank 3 strange beasts had gray horns, rank 4 strange beasts had cyan horns, and rank 5 strange beasts had silver horns. The venerable beast chasing after Night Sorrow had a golden horn. At this time, Yishan also knew what these strange beasts were. They were the nether beasts recorded in the sealed letter. Their bodies contained the nether energy of the death energy, but it was only one type of death energy. However, if they cultivated it to the peak, they would be able to cultivate death nether energy, which was the ultimate attribute of the death attribute. Controlling it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. At this moment, there were already 6 supremacy-level nether beasts attacking Night Sorrow. There were beginner and mid-level supremacy-level nether beasts, but none of them chose to transform. They all had wolf heads and wolf bodies with a single horn, but they had a pair of wings. The nether beasts below rank 6 did not have wings, so they most likely had not evolved yet. Night Sorrow unleashed a spatial energy barrier in all directions, dodging the attacks of the nether beasts while escaping into the distance. If there was only 1 or 2, Night Sorrow would choose to fight. However, there were so many Night Sorrow would not fight because he would not be able to defeat them. Night Sorrow was also considering whether or not he should bring Yun Huang and Ling Long in. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow gave up on this idea. Yun Huang and Ling Long were very strong, and it could even be said that new Venerable Realm experts would find it difficult to kill them. However, they could not kill Venerable Realm experts, so there was no need for them to come in. Night Sorrow quickly left, making the low-level nether beasts feel quite helpless because they could not keep up. Out of the 6 Venerable Realm nether beasts, only one of them, Yi Sorrow, whose cultivation level was unknown, chased after Yi Sorrow. The others didn't chase after him, and were still hanging around the spatial passageway. On the way out, Night Sorrow encountered a level 3 Venerable Realm nether beast blocking his path. However, he changed his path and was not blocked. Seeing the ancient forest ahead, Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the ancient forest. His speed was not as fast as the nether beasts chasing after him. The only reason he was able to run here was because of his agility. After entering the ancient forest, Night Sorrow pushed his speed and agility to the limit. After dodging the nether beast's line of sight, Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the time-space pagoda. Then he controlled the time-space pagoda to rush into the roots of the ancient tree and hide. After hiding well, Night Sorrow used his soul power to observe the outside through the time-space pagoda. At this moment, the nether beast that Night Sorrow could not see through also arrived at the ancient tree that Night Sorrow was hiding in and looked around. Night Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. As long as it did not notice the time-space pagoda, then he was safe. Standing inside the time-space pagoda, Night Sorrow knew that he was the one who came in. If it was any other level 5 cultivator who came in, then they would have undoubtedly died. The nether beasts that gathered at the entrance of the spatial tunnel were too powerful. Moreover, they were not in a mess but in an orderly manner. This situation also made Night Sorrow understand that the nether beast's intelligence was on par with humans. They were blocking the spatial tunnel to prevent humans from coming in. In addition, Night Sorrow also knew that the nether beasts that rushed out of the spatial tunnel were not high-level nether beasts. There was a Venerable Realm nether beast that ran out and came back. It was not killed. Night Sorrow took out the teapot, and started brewing tea. If this nether beast that he could not see through didn't leave, then he would not go out. He did not care about wasting time. At this moment, in the 9-domain world, Xia Lanjun and the others had sealed the spatial tunnel. However, everyone was guarding the spatial tunnel. As long as they saw Night Sorrow, they would be able to open it in time. VQ head. Wu Lingfei had been paying attention to Night Sorrow's Phantom Dowstone clone. At this moment, the Phantom Dowstone that contained Night Sorrow's soul power was emitting a gentle light. This was the state of self-cultivation. If Night Sorrow's main body died, then the soul power within the Phantom Dowstone would dissipate. Therefore, as long as the Phantom Dowstone clone was fine, then Night Sorrow's main body would be safe. Chapter 671. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Aoi and the other two wore masks and stood behind Wu Lingfei. The three girls were very worried because the Stage 5 cultivators who entered in the past couldn't withstand it and died instantly. Don't worry, he's safe now. He should be able to withstand the most dangerous stage. Wu Lingfei said. After entering, as long as he can withstand the craziest wave of attacks, he will be able to survive. Xia Lanjuan's face was full of smiles because Night Sorrow was Tianji Tower's seedling, and had even been selected as the young master. Of course, she was happy that Night Sorrow was fine. Don't be an expert in internal battles, Chen Yuan muttered. Shut up, if you want to fight, I'll fight with you. Wu Lingfei was furious. Her robe shook, and she was about to attack. Master Wu Lingfei, wait. Chen Yuan, I've tolerated you for a long time. If it weren't for the 9 regions' world strength, I would have killed you immediately. Xia Lanjun was furious. She couldn't take it anymore. Chen Yuan, you're a saint. You have to act like a saint. Night Sorrow is fighting for the 9 regions' world. What are you talking about? If you continue like this, I can't stand it anymore. Zhen Haisheng looked at Chen Yuan and said. Chen Yuan didn't say anything. He turned and went to the Tianfeng dynasty's camp. Aunt Fei, there's a seal here. If Night Sorrow comes out, he won't be blocked inside, right? Aoi asked worriedly. He won't. Didn't you see that the seniors are guarding here? They're worried about this. Don't worry. Night Sorrow has killed a level 5 supremacy and crippled a level 6 supremacy. He can still protect himself inside. Wu Lingfei said. The person who came back said that there are many supremacy nether beasts at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. This means that the period after entering is the most dangerous. If we can break through this layer of seal, the danger will be reduced. Xia Lanjun looked at Aoi and the others and said. Night Sorrow drank tea while observing the situation outside. He was not in a hurry at all. There was no time limit for him to come in. At most, he could continue to cultivate. When he broke through to become a venerable one, he would go back to investigate. While observing, Night Sorrow also confirmed the level of this nether beast, whose cultivation level could not be determined. Its golden horn had 5 spirals, so it was obviously a level 5 supremacy. The nether beast stayed on the ancient tree that Night Sorrow had gotten up from for a while. Then it looked around and left. Little Kong, with you by my side, if I want to run away, it will be too difficult for my opponents to catch me. It's almost impossible, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're satisfied with that? Let me tell you, when you enter the Exalt stage, the space-time pagoda will shrink even more. When it expands, its size will also change. When you enter the Saint stage, your control over the space-time pagoda will become even stronger. When it shrinks, it will become the size of a grain of sand, Xiao Kong said proudly. Can't you do it yourself? Night Sorrow asked curiously. Your question is a little stupid. A good knife, no matter how sharp it is, needs someone to wield it to slash people, right? It's the same for a holy treasure. Although it has some abilities, its main power still needs to be controlled by its owner. Otherwise, why would a holy treasure look for its owner? Xiao Kong's words were filled with disdain. All right. I'm stupid. Since it's safe, let's go. It's just that it's hard to say where the spatial tunnel is. Night Sorrow explained the difficulty of his investigation. The place where we entered is where the spatial barrier is. Since the first spatial tunnel is like this, The other spatial tunnels should be like this as well. Of course, that's my opinion, Shao Kong said. Night Sorrow nodded and planned to act according to Shao Kong's suggestion. However, he would still go to the central area and walk around. It was easy for treasures to be produced in special spaces. 10,000 years ago, this place was an ancient battlefield. Many experts had died in battle, so there should be some left behind. In addition, it had been 10,000 years since the last time humans came in. 10,000 years should have produced some rare treasures. After exiting the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow moved stealthily horizontally, because that was the way to walk close to the spatial barrier. Night Sorrow's speed was very fast. He quickly flew and began to investigate. R square root F only I1. Proper G version, he is a thief $V version, F however. Night Sorrow was very cautious. As long as he consumed more than 30% of his cultivation, he would release Tianyu to fly in his place. He would recover himself and maintain his combat strength. In addition, he kept the space-time pagoda in his sleeve, and did not use it to help him recover. This was because Shao Kong could detect the existence of some rare ores, spirit stones, and the like. Shao Kong's probing ability was a bit weaker in Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow's true Qi attribute had the ability to isolate it. If Shao Kong insisted on probing, it wouldn't benefit either Shao Kong or Night Sorrow. Shao Kong helped Night Sorrow to investigate, and Night Sorrow could also meditate and cultivate. It basically did not delay anything. In addition, Tianyu would also notice special situations, and would remind Night Sorrow in advance. Night Sorrow and Tianyu's speed was very fast. One man and one beast took turns to fly, and they could travel 70 to 80,000 miles per day. During this time, Night Sorrow even collected a few pieces of peak-grade ores. Near the spatial barrier, the possibility of producing high-grade herbs was not high. However, due to the influence of various violent energies, the probability of producing peak-grade ores was high. If any nether beasts or demonic beasts appeared, Night Sorrow would immediately kill them. While traveling, they would see demonic beasts with delicious meat. Night Sorrow and Tianyu would also eat their fill. Their days were quite comfortable. Night Sorrow's disadvantage was that when Tianyu was flying, Night Sorrow had to use resources to cultivate. Without Shao Kong in his body, the effect of assisting his cultivation was greatly reduced. Night Sorrow's side was fine, and the people of the 9 regions world felt more at ease. Night Sorrow lasted for 3 days, which meant that there was not much danger. No wonder they could turn the Grand Clarity region upside down. They have the strength. The people of Night Moon are indeed domineering, True Ocean Saint said. Without the Night Moon dynasty, the Grand Clarity region is no longer the Grand Clarity region of the past, Silver Dusk Saint said. Qin Yuan did not say anything. The saints all knew about his sneak attack on the Night Moon dynasty, and they all despised him. He could not refute this. Among the saints, his cultivation was near the bottom. Although his cultivation was higher than Wu Lingfei's, Wu Lingfei was not afraid of him at all. This was because Wu Lingfei had a high-grade attribute. Give Night Sorrow a guarantee. We still have to keep an eye on him. Nothing can go wrong. Xie Lanjun glanced at the camp of the Tianfeng dynasty and said, no one trusted Qin Yuan's character anymore. Not only did he attack a saint, but he also sneak attacked a sovereign. This was a person with no bottom line. Wu Lingfei returned to the camp of the god-slaying team. Auntie Fei, will Night Sorrow be okay? Aoi asked worriedly. He has already passed the most dangerous stage. With the space-time pagoda protecting him and Auntie Fei's golden phoenix soft armor, even high-level sovereigns will find it difficult to kill him, Wu Lingfei said. Then Wu Lingfei arranged for everyone to retreat. There was no point in staying here. Chapter 672. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by Go divided by Shao? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Although they were unwilling, Yin Huang, Ling Long, and the members of the god-slaying team left and went to the city in the sky to wait. Baidu search AI Go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs. Currently, the city in the sky was safe. Its geographical location was hidden, and it belonged to the Night Moon dynasty. Whoever attacked it would be equivalent to slapping the sages in the face. It was tantamount to courting death. Wu Lingfei arranged for Aoi, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chuyu to stay in Tianji Tower's camp. It was not a matter of safety, but because no one would dare to start a civil war here. She just felt that it was more convenient. Night Sorrow continued to move forward, searching for the location of the spatial tunnel. He also found that the primordial battlefield was the domain of the Nether Beast. There were only Nether Beasts and no other high-level monsters. Love Gobe Xiaosei, low-level monsters did not have much attacking power. To Night Sorrow, they were food. When he felt tired, Night Sorrow would catch a prey and roast it. He would drink some wine to relax. It was quite comfortable. On the 8th day, when Night Sorrow was flying, Shao Kong shouted in Night Sorrow's mind, saying that there was a situation on the left. Look at the chapter on the MN version. Night Sorrow stopped and turned his head to look, but he did not find anything. It's not an enemy. The energy there is very dense. There must be treasures underground. Shao Kong communicated with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow followed Shao Kong's guidance and came to the foot of a mountain. It's here. Dig down. The spirit chi is very dense, Shao Kong said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a weapon from his storage ring that he had obtained after killing a venerable and began to dig. The ground was hard rock. Without cultivation, one would not be able to dig it. However, this was not a problem for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's true chi aside, his physical strength was very strong. Love Go Xiaosei, when Shao Kong said to dig, Night Sorrow dug. A moment later, Night Sorrow dug a hole in the hard rock. At this time, Night Sorrow could already feel the rich spiritual energy without Shao Kong saying anything. Night Sorrow began to dig. As Night Sorrow dug deeper and deeper. After digging for 30 feet, Night Sorrow found his target, a spirit stone vein. Night Sorrow, you have to give me some spirit stones this time, Shao Kong said as he watched Night Sorrow dig. You need spirit stones? Night Sorrow asked as he dug out spirit stones and threw them into his storage ring. Nonsense. When I was in Sky-bearing City, didn't the City Lord's mansion feed me all the spirit stones it collected? Otherwise, how would I strengthen my body if I used up too much energy? Shao Kong's muttering voice sounded in Night Sorrow's mind. Okay, I have a lot of use for top-grade spirit stones. I'll give you some high-grade spirit stones later. Night Sorrow was not stingy with Shao Kong. If Shao Kong needed something, he would give it to him. No need. There is no difference in the grade of spirit stones here. The only difference is the amount of energy they contain. Middle-grade spirit stones are also good. I can absorb energy faster. It's all the same. Shao Kong was very happy. He was happy that Night Sorrow was so generous. Okay, I'll give you more once I'm done digging. Night Sorrow was in high spirits because he had dug out high-grade spirit stones. Okay. Shao Kong replied Night Sorrow. As Night Sorrow dug, the quality of the spirit stones became higher and higher. Shao Kong, to be able to produce so many spirit stones, could there be some kind of treasure? The space barrier here is weak, so energy seeped in. Plus some other reasons, it formed spirit stones. There shouldn't be any kind of treasure. Shao Kong analyzed. The spirit stones are already very good. Don't think too much, Night Sorrow said as he dug. Looking at the high-quality spirit stones, Night Sorrow was very excited. These were all incredible resources. At this moment, Night Sorrow was digging a hole. At first, there were mostly high-grade and middle-grade spirit stones, but slowly, the quality of the spirit stones became higher and higher. When he was 5 feet underground, Night Sorrow dug out a top-grade spirit stone. This time, I've made a big profit. Night Sorrow took a sip of wine and said, Your luck is really good. You got so many resources in one go. Shao Kong was also a little emotional. There are also attribute crystals. As he dug, Night Sorrow saw attribute crystals. There were all kinds of attributes, but they were all normal attributes. There were no high-level attributes. Night Sorrow knew that this was due to the chaotic nature of the spatial turbulence. There were all kinds of attributes. It was possible for them to form crystals, but high-level attributes were difficult to form. After digging for more than half a day, the ground was filled with holes. Only then did Yi Shang finish digging out all the spirit stones and crystals. Returning to the surface, Night Sorrow tidied up his robes. The ground was filled with rocks and spirit stones, so it was not dirty. Night Sorrow sorted out the spirit stones. Then he enlarged the space-time treasure pagoda, and through the mid-grade spirit stones he had plundered into the space-time treasure pagoda. 2 storage rings were filled with mid-grade spirit stones. There were about 7,000 to 8,000 of them. Although 7,000 to 8,000 mid-grade spirit stones was a huge amount of wealth, it was nothing to Night Sorrow. He had robbed many cities from several dynasties. Thus he had a lot of mid-grade spirit stones. Enough. Seeing that Night Sorrow wanted to continue throwing spirit stones into the space-time treasure pagoda, Shao Kong stopped Night Sorrow. "How long can this last you?" Night Sorrow asked. "If it's just for your cultivation, then this is enough for 2 years, Shao Kong said. "That's not a problem." Night Sorrow calculated and felt that he could still afford it. It was not a burden. It was just 1 or 2 top-grade spirit stones. This was Night Sorrow. In the eyes of ordinary cultivators, top-grade spirit stones were something that could only be found by chance. Transactions were mainly done with mid-grade spirit stones and high-grade spirit stones. High-grade spirit stones were the hard currency. This time, Night Sorrow had a big harvest. There were close to 100 top-grade spirit stones, 700 to 800 high-grade spirit stones, and over 3,000 mid-grade spirit stones. There were also spirit stones. Most of them were of the wind and water attributes. There were fewer of the other attributes. Night Sorrow also dug up 6 spatial attribute spirit stones. After organizing his harvest, Night Sorrow continued on his way. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with such a harvest. He already had a lot of resources, but he still felt that it was not enough. He wanted to store some resources for Night Moon. He also wanted to take care of his brothers in the God-slaying team. He could not watch his senior brothers and sisters lack resources. Furthermore, as his cultivation level increased, Night Sorrow would also need them. After advancing for a month, Night Sorrow found the first spatial passageway. As for where it led, Night Sorrow did not know and could not find out. This was because the spatial passageway was filled with nether beasts. It was similar to where Night Sorrow had come from. Night Sorrow wanted to go to the spatial passageway and use the memory crystal to record. As for what the situation was, a saint would analyze it. It was not his problem. The spatial passageway was the intersection of 2 worlds or 2 spaces. The energy on both sides conflicted. Therefore, experienced cultivators could make a rough judgment. Chapter 673. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? Say net, providing you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow was having a headache because he couldn't get close. There were too many nether beasts, and many of them were supremacies. Love go little say W. True Night Sorrow's soul power was strong. When he was far away, he noticed that there were too many nether beasts and became more careful. Otherwise, he would have rushed into the nether beast pit and had to run for his life again. After avoiding the nether beasts for a while, Night Sorrow couldn't go any further because there were too many nether beasts. Unless he forced his way through, there was no way he could get close. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda. He then controlled the space-time pagoda to move forward when the wind blew. Every time the wind blew, Night Sorrow would move forward a bit. There was no problem with safety. It was very stable. Night Sorrow moved forward steadily. He just needed to find an opportunity to record with the memory crystal. After half a day, Night Sorrow got close to the entrance of the spatial tunnel. Then he had to figure out how to record. Night Sorrow controlled the space-time pagoda to fly into a dense bush. He scanned the surroundings and felt that it was safe. Night Sorrow hesitated for a while and chose a suitable position. He used his soul power to send the memory crystal out of the space-time pagoda. Then he used his energy to activate the memory crystal. Baidu search, AI go female sign shao say, www.aichuxs. So the memory crystal started to spin and recorded everything around. When it recorded the scene, it emitted a faint light, which attracted the attention of the nether beasts. Fortunately, it didn't take long before the memory crystal stopped spinning and finished recording everything. After recording it, Yishang's soul power returned to the crystal ball. Then he controlled the space-time pagoda to smash into the ground. Moreover, it was very deep. Yishang planned to hide for a while. When the nether beast wasn't paying attention, he would find an opportunity to escape. As soon as Night Sorrow hid, 2 nether beasts came to investigate and destroyed the bush. The 2 nether beasts probed for a while, but they didn't find anything and left. This situation made Night Sorrow heave a sigh of relief. If he wasn't discovered, then escaping wouldn't be a problem. Inside the space-time treasure pagoda, he brewed a pot of tea. Night Sorrow slowly sipped on it as he searched for an opportunity to escape. Outside, when everything was calm, it would be easy for him to be discovered if he used the space-time treasure pagoda to leave. Thus, he had to wait for an opportunity. Since there was no chance, he would just have to wait for an opportunity. Night Sorrow sat down and cultivated on the spot, letting Shao Kong observe the situation outside. On the second night, there was a strong wind. After Little Sky notified Night Sorrow controlled the space-time pagoda to fly out from the ground. Then he flew along with the flying sand and pebbles towards a safe area. Shao Kong, it's all thanks to your help. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to complete this mission. Night Sorrow was very grateful to Shao Kong. If not for Shao Kong's ability to hide, Night Sorrow would not have been able to get close to this place. After floating for 100 kilometers, Night Sorrow felt that his soul power had been greatly depleted. Thus, he controlled the space-time pagoda to land. Next, he began resting and recovering. This distance could be considered a safe zone. Baidu search, AI go female sign Shao say www.aichuxs.com. After using an hour to fully recover, Night Sorrow once again controlled the space-time pagoda to move some distance away before exiting the space-time pagoda. He released Tianyu and allowed Tianyu to fly. Night Sorrow was still near the spatial barrier. However, he was more careful because he had almost barged into the nether beast's nest. That would have been extremely dangerous because there was a golden horn in front of the spatial tunnel. On top of it was a nether beast with 6 spirals. That was a level 6 supremacy nether beast. If he was discovered by it, it would be very difficult for Night Sorrow to escape. Night Sorrow sat on Tianyu's back and cultivated. The scouting was done by Shao Kong and Tianyu. However, whether it was Shao Kong or Tianyu, their scouting abilities were very strong. In the 9 Zones world, outside the spatial black hole, they were still waiting. I wonder how long this guy will take to come back, Shen Haixing muttered. I've seen the map. The ancient Supreme River battlefield is at least 3 million miles long. It won't be that easy to scout, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow is a responsible person. He won't just go in and walk around. Since he agreed to scout, he will definitely scout very carefully. This will take a long time. Maybe a few months, maybe half a year, or even a year. Let's just wait here, Xiaolanjun said. Translator, Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios editor. Atlas Studios. The others nodded. They had all gone through a long period of cultivation, so their patience was not a problem. Wu Lingfei came to Aoi's tent. Aunt Fei, is there still no news? Aoi asked. No news is a good thing because it means he's safe, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. I believe in 13. In terms of combat and survivability, this is definitely his forte, Yang Lei said. That's right. Night Sorrow has been fighting for survival and development for the past few years. He's already trained, Wu Lingfei said. Wu Lingfei said. Although she was a little worried, she didn't want to share her emotions with the 3 girls. At this time, in a renovated mansion in the Night Moon Dynasty, Yi Lingxia sat in the main seat. His face was full of self-blame and his condition was not very good. Someone from Yuexiang City has come. Elder, do you want to meet him? Yi Linglan bowed to Yi Lingxia. Why didn't we stop him? Why didn't we stop him? Why did we let him go? How are we going to explain this to the family? Yi Lingxia took a sip of wine from the wine jar beside him. After letting Yi Shang go, Yi Lingxia regretted it immediately. He had let the younger generation shoulder the burden, because this wasn't something Yi Yu's people should do. Yi Yu had never done this before. Now he didn't even have the face to report this to his family. Elder, the young master will be safe. This kind of young master is the pride of Night Moon. Someone from Yuexiang City has come. Elder, do you want to meet him? Yi Linglan bowed and said. His heart was just as bitter because Night Sorrow had gone out to fight. This was the consequence of being unable to change the situation as an elder. Yuexiang City. They still have the face to come? Tell them to scram. When the young master returns, this king will report and expel them from the Night Moon dynasty. They will no longer be people of Night Moon. Yi Lingxie slammed the table and growled. At this moment, Yi Lingxie's heart was filled with frustration and self-blame because Yi Shang had stood up for Yi Yu, but he couldn't do anything. How could he not be angry when the people of Yuexiang City appeared at this time? Then your subordinate will send them back. This time, they came because they heard the saint's order and knew that no one would be able to attack Yi Yu within 100 years. They have no bottom line when it comes to doing things, so they don't deserve to be Yi Yu's people. Yi Linglan bowed and walked outside. When Yi Lingnan had rejected Night Sorrow and was unwilling to build a transmission array in Yuexiang City, Yi Linglan had felt very upset when he saw Night Sorrow's disappointed face. So, Yi Linglan had always remembered that scene. Chapter 674. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? We will provide you with wonderful novels to read. After that, Yi Linglan told Yi Lingnan about Yi Lingxie's intentions. He didn't want to give them a chance to see Yi Lingxie, because he knew that it would be better if they didn't see him. Yi Lingxie's emotions were unstable right now. If he saw them, he would want to kill them. In addition, Yi Linglan felt that Yuexiang City had betrayed the Night Moon dynasty. This wasn't the action of one person. Perhaps it was Yi Lingnan's decision at that time, but what about after that? If the other vice city lords and deacons of Yuexiang City cared about the Night Moon dynasty and wanted to contribute to the Night Moon dynasty, they would have come looking for them after that. However, that wasn't the case. They only appeared when the Saint token appeared. Elder Linglan, no matter what, we are still people of the Night Moon dynasty. We are here to pay our respects to His Highness. How can His Highness not see us? A young man said. People of the Night Moon dynasty? Don't mention this again. I was a little tactful earlier. Now I will be more direct. Night Moon City will be a forbidden area for you. King Ling Xie has ordered that if he finds you entering the Night Moon City again, he will break your legs and throw you out. Yi Linglan said coldly. He was very disgusted with these people. After reprimanding them, Yi Linglan called for the guards to chase the people of Yuexiang City away. Then, he turned and left without even looking at them. Yi Lingxie used his trembling hand to write a letter. It was a letter asking for forgiveness. In the letter, he explained the details of the situation and the reason why Yi Shang had gone to battle. In addition, he was asking for forgiveness and asking the clan to punish him. After writing the letter, Yi Lingxie sighed and set off. Although he couldn't face the family, he still had to deal with the matters that needed to be dealt with. Night Sorrow had been advancing every day. Sometimes he would encounter a nether beast with a higher cultivation and would kill it. This was mainly to get used to the rhythm of the nether beast's attacks. After fighting a few times, Night Sorrow could feel his own situation. He could kill third-rank sovereign nether beasts, but it was quite strenuous. He couldn't kill fourth-rank nether beasts because the nether beast's attacks were extremely berserk. Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash wasn't very effective as it would be blocked by the nether beast's defenses. Moreover, the nether beast's horns would release soul power fluctuations to block the soul destruction slash. Fortunately, Night Sorrow was fast enough. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill the level 3 nether beast. Night Sorrow didn't rest every day as he followed the spatial barrier. If he encountered a nether beast, he would avoid it. He knew what was going on, but he didn't plan to fight. He was here to scout the situation. Time slipped away bit by bit. Night Sorrow's cultivation base was also improving rapidly. His true chi cultivation base was getting closer and closer to the peak void inquiry stage. On the third month, Night Sorrow saw the third spatial passageway. According to the map, this was the spatial passageway that led to the Medicine Valley. The passageway was very hidden. However, there were still some nether beasts gathered there. Night Sorrow recorded the location of the passageway again using the old method. Next, Night Sorrow carefully analyzed and confirmed that this was the Medicine Valley. This spatial passageway was located in a valley. The spatial passageway was straight up and down. In other words, one could only fly out of the passageway. This was exactly the same as the Medicine Valley situation where one had to dive all the time. After confirming that this place was not very dangerous, and he was not worried about the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow left and continued his exploration. On the 4.5 month, Night Sorrow's cultivation base reached the peak void inquiry stage. In other words, he could break through to the Venerable Realm at any time. However, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to break through to the Venerable Realm. Venerable Realm experts might not necessarily be able to do what a peak void inquiry stage expert could do. In addition, Night Sorrow also wanted to consolidate his cultivation base. Having a solid foundation now would only be beneficial for the future. On the 5th month of his exploration, Night Sorrow saw the 4th spatial passageway. This place was extremely terrifying, because countless nether beasts came from here. Night Sorrow did not know what kind of world it was, but there were many nether beasts there. There were also countless Venerable Realm nether beasts. The number of Venerable Realm nether beasts he had seen was much more than the number of Venerable Realm nether beasts he had seen in the 9 regions world. However, Night Sorrow felt that it was still possible for him to explore the place since it was a little chaotic. After spending 3 days, Night Sorrow reached the vicinity of the spatial passageway. Then he waited for another 2 days and took the opportunity to record the situation here. Night Sorrow was certain that this was the source of the problem. After recording it, Night Sorrow followed the chaotic nether beasts and left this area. Then he continued to explore the passageway while staying close to the void. You're really steady. You can break through but you don't want to. Shao Kong could not understand Night Sorrow. I'm not in a hurry. I'll only try to break through when I encounter a situation that I can't handle. I need to consolidate my strength first. Besides, if a powerful enemy appears, I can directly hide in the Time and Space Treasure Pagoda. I can also break through in the Time and Space Treasure Pagoda. Night Sorrow explained his reason. On the 6th month, Night Sorrow returned to the starting point. However, he did not see any spatial passageways during this period. In other words, there were 4 spatial passageways here. Night Sorrow did not plan to leave immediately. He planned to walk around and collect some resources before leaving. He had been sneaking around for the past few days, and did not have the opportunity to explore everywhere. The nether energy here was very dense. Night Sorrow felt that there might be an origin stone here. However, he did not dare to say if he could find Night Sorrow. After all, that thing was a heaven-defying treasure, and required heaven-defying luck. After taking the opportunity to record this place, Night Sorrow left. This time, Night Sorrow did not sit on Tianyu's back. Instead, he flew a distance away from Tianyu. This way he could explore a wider area. Tianyu's talent was undeniable. He was very sensitive to heaven-defying treasures and high-grade herbs. Along the way, Night Sorrow collected herbs. Under Shao Kong's guidance, he was also able to collect some ores. Night Sorrow was having fun here. Outside, Wu Lingfei, Aoi Yanglei, and Sikong Chiyu were very worried. This was because Night Sorrow had been in there for too long. It had been half a year. Why hasn't he come out yet? Sikong Chiyu looked at Wu Lingfei anxiously. Wu Lingfei thought for a moment and said, "The area inside is very big. I guess he hasn't finished exploring it. In addition, there have been no human footprints there for 10,000 years. This guy probably wants to collect some materials." Yang Lei said, "That's his style. As long as he's fine, we can wait in peace. The longer we wait, the more advantageous it is for him. Maybe he's already a supremacy." "That's possible." Sikong Chiyu thought so too. Just as they were talking, something strange happened in the spatial passageway. A man with a wolf's head and a gray crystal horn appeared, and started attacking the human camp. Wu Lingfei waved her arm, and retreated with the girls. This was a saint. Wu Lingfei did not want the girls to be in danger. See only Joe 1xf positive $version /t. His W his Q square root are all steel C. Version. Seeing this man appear, the Silver Sunset Saint attacked. Chapter 675. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. This nether beast saint fused with the nether energy and retreated back into the spatial passageway. Once Xiaolongjun gave chase, the spatial passageway started to collapse. It was filled with deep spatial cavities. Damn it! Xiaolongjun cursed and retreated. The origin source of the 9 domain worlds has been damaged. This has caused the cultivators of the 9 domain worlds to suffer a great loss. Silver Sunset Saint said somewhat angrily. This was the disadvantage of the 9 domains world. Its origin was shattered, and it was at a disadvantage compared to other spaces. For example, the other saints could attack, but the people here couldn't. They didn't even have the chance to enter. Why is there a saint here? Wu Lingfei's expression became unsightly. With a saint here, Night Sorrow was in great danger. Night Sorrow could escape from a venerable's attack, but he would die if he met a saint. This is a serious problem. Xiaolongjun lowered her head and pondered. What should we do? We can't just let them beat us up like this. We should seal them completely. Otherwise, if a few saints rush out and we can't stop any of them, the people of the 9 regions world will be plunged into misery and suffering. Silver Dusk Saint looked at Xiaolongjun and asked. No, Night Sorrow is still inside, Wu Lingfei objected. This is a difficult problem. Xiaolongjun's face was also very ugly. Baidu search, AI go female sign shao say www.aichuxs.com. The group of saints were all thinking because this was a difficult situation. If they did not seal it, they were afraid that a nether beast saint would run out. If they sealed it, what would happen to Night Sorrow? One had to know that Night Sorrow had fought for the 9 domain world, and was still alive. If they sealed Night Sorrow inside, it would be unfair to Night Sorrow. It doesn't matter if the 9 realms' essences are shattered. The main problem is that one of them is missing, causing the 9 realms world's natural laws to be incomplete. It's at an absolute disadvantage when fighting against other space essences and world essences. A middle-aged man appeared, and in 2 flashes, he appeared in front of everyone. Greetings, Long Xiansheng. Love Gob Little Say. Xiaolongjun cupped her hands in greeting. Silver Dusk Long Xiansheng. Silver Dusk also bowed. The other saints also bowed in greeting. I have never thought of leaving the eastern Xian region, but the danger this time is too great. If it is not resolved, the 9 regions world will face a great calamity. The man with a pair of dragon eyes, a tiger nose, and a wide mouth said. The most peculiar thing about this middle-aged man was that there was a single golden horn in the middle of his hair. The problem now is that a young man from our 9 domain world has gone in to investigate. If we seal this place, it would be equivalent to us abandoning him. Xiaolongjun explained the situation of Yi Shan's investigation. It is almost impossible for a 5th-order cultivator to survive with a saint blocking the way. However, we cannot abandon the people who are fighting for the 9 domains world. This has nothing to do with cultivation. Long Xianxing said and then looked at Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei also looked at this middle-aged man. Senior, you can't. Wu Lingfei was stunned. There's nothing I can't do. I was born and raised in Eastern Xian domain. It's only right for me to greet the Dongxian city's city lord. You've worked hard all these years. I already knew when the city lord was at Eastern Snow Mountain. I also know that the city lord was severely injured. I could help the city lord at that time, but I still hope that the city lord can be tempered and walk out of this hurdle by yourself. Senior, you know me? Wu Lingfei was very surprised. Of course. This seat knows that the city lord was born in the East Snow Mountain and grew up there, because this seat lived under the Sea of Ice Plains. Now that the city lord has entered the Saint Realm with the life attribute, this Dongshuan's origin, the city lord can refine it. Long Xianxing took out a fist-sized sparkling object and handed it to Wu Lingfei. Dongxian origin? Holding the crystal with green light, Wu Lingfei looked at Long Xianxing in shock. That's right. Actually, it also contains the life attribute. It's just right for the city lord. From today onwards, the city lord is the domain lord. Long Xianxing said politely. Senior, is it not suitable for you? Wu Lingfei was not willing to accept this gift without knowing why. No, the attribute is not suitable. I've kept it for many years and finally found someone suitable for it. Long Xianxing nodded. Thank you, Senior. Wu Lingfei cupped her fists at Long Xianxing. I can't care about the matters here. If the city lord refines the origin, the laws of Eastern Xian domain will be completed. We will no longer be suppressed by other dimensions. Long Xianxing then left in a flash. After thinking for a while, Wu Lingfei waved her arm and kept the Dongxian origin back into her body. Dongxian is Wuyo, but the problem in front of us still has to be solved. Xie Lanjun looked at the direction Long Xianxing left and said. At this moment, another nether beast saint rushed out. There were 2 of them, and they started to attack. The 9 domain saints also started to attack, and the battle became intense. Seeing that they could not defeat the 9 realms saint, the 2 nether beast saints retreated back into the spatial tunnel. The silver dusk saint chased after them, and struck out with his palm. At the same time, the 2 nether beast saints also counterattacked. Equals 5 heads dollar hair. Following an explosion, the silver dusk saint was pushed back. Following that, the spatial passageway collapsed and the spatial passageway turned into spatial turbulence. Wu Lingfei took a few steps forward, and a cold expression appeared on her face. The spatial tunnel had collapsed, which meant that Night Sorrow would not be able to return. However, she could not blame Silver Dusk Saint. Silver Dusk Saint had not done it on purpose. No one had expected such an outcome. Everyone quieted down because they all understood what this situation meant. After a moment of awkward silence, Xie Lanjun let out a long sigh. Set up the seal. Set up the strongest seal so that we can't get in and they can't come out. At this time, Aoi Yonglei and Sikong Chuyu rushed over. The 3 girls' faces were pale, because this was the last thing they wanted to see. Wu Lingfei waved her arm and stopped Aoi and the other 2 girls. The spatial tunnel here has been destroyed, but there is still a spatial tunnel in the Medicine Valley. As long as Night Sorrow is alive, he can come out. Then we have to go back to the Medicine Valley. Yonglei looked at Wu Lingfei and said. Wait, let's go together. Wu Lingfei nodded at Aoi and the other 2 girls. It's good that you go back. Refine Dongshuan's origin as soon as possible. That way, the passageway in the Eastern Xian region will also reject the enemy saints and supremacies. Then, the danger will not exist. Xie Lanjun said to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that this was also the reason why Long Xianxing had sent Dongshuan's origin. Grand Elder, we are going back. If there is any news here, please inform us as soon as possible. Wu Lingfei looked at Xie Lanjun and said. I will. Also, if there is any news from the Eastern Xian region, please inform this seat as soon as possible. Xie Lanjun's eyes were a little dim because she felt that Night Sorrow's chances of survival were very slim. The spatial tunnel here had collapsed and turned into spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow could not come out. In addition, there was the Nether Beast Saint inside. This was the most fatal thing. He will definitely come out. Wu Lingfei nodded with certainty. Chapter 676. Genius 1 second. Remember love go divided by little? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Auntie Fei, Night Sorrow will be fine, right? Sikong Chiyu looked at Wu Lingfei with hopeful eyes. Night Sorrow will be fine. Look, this is his soul clone. It's flashing, which means that he's fine. As long as he's alive, everything will be fine. You know that he brought the map in. He will compare it with the 9 regions world and find the exit of the Medicine Valley, Wu Lingfei said, expressing her hope. We've let that kid down. He fought for the 9 regions world and is still alive. We really left him there, Shun Haixing said with a sigh in front of the spatial turbulence. Xie Lanjun nodded. She was very sad because Night Sorrow was the future pillar of Tianji Tower. But now his chances of survival were very slim. Night Sorrow was not in a hurry. He collected materials every day. This was the no man's land, so there were naturally many materials. Night Sorrow also had a large storage space. As long as there were resources, he could collect them. Tianyu often found them. Xiao Kong helped to find ores. She was the most sensitive to ores. At night, Night Sorrow simply entered the space-time pagoda to rest and cultivate. It was very safe. If he met an opponent, Night Sorrow would hide in advance. Even the Nether Beast, whose cultivation was higher than his, could not threaten him. When the opponent came to investigate, Night Sorrow would have already controlled the space-time pagoda to hide in the ground. Baidu search, AI go female sign shall say www.aichuexis.com. After more than a month like this, Night Sorrow felt that it was time to go back. He was not in a hurry, but he was worried that the girls would be. Then Night Sorrow took the space-time pagoda and sat on Tianyu to rush to the area where the spatial tunnel was. When they were still 100 li away from the spatial passageway, Little Kong reminded Yi Shang that the spatial energy in the vicinity was not right. It was much more violent than before. Night Sorrow put away Tianyu and then flashed into the space-time pagoda. Then, he controlled the space-time pagoda to fly close to the ground towards the spatial tunnel. This was the last step. He did not want anything to go wrong at this time. Baidu search, AI go female sign shall say www.aichuexis.com. The nearby spatial turbulence was violent. As long as the thumb-sized space-time pagoda flew close to the ground, it would not be detected. When they were about 5 kilometers away from the spatial tunnel, Yi Shang stopped. Xiao Kong told him about the current situation. What? Xiao Kong did not respond to Night Sorrow because she did not understand the situation. Then we should go back. If we can't, we can use Spatial Ren to break open the spatial turbulence and rush out. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow made a decision. No. There are 2 special auras near the spatial turbulence. Those are the auras of saints. I used the spatial energy to investigate. That's why I was not discovered. If we continue to advance in that direction, we will be asking for trouble. Xiao Kong interrupted Night Sorrow. Q new /chapter ZK previous one. You hearing Xiao Kong's words, Yi Shang was stunned for a moment. This situation was beyond his expectations. Then he understood that it might be because of the battle between saints that caused the spatial collapse. That was why he was thrown inside. After organizing his thoughts, Night Sorrow sat down to recover. He had been using his soul power to control the space-time pagoda to fly. He had consumed a lot of his soul power. For hours later, Night Sorrow had completely recovered. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow controlled the space-time pagoda to leave the place by using the energy fluctuations. He planned to go to the spatial tunnel in the Medicine Valley area and go out from there. Controlling the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow left 100 miles away. He released Tianyu to hurry. Sitting on Tianyu's back, he continued to recover. At the same time, he let Xiao Kong feel the energy fluctuations. Knowing that there were saints, Night Sorrow could not be careless. This was fatal. This time, Night Sorrow did not walk along the spatial barrier. Instead, he walked in a straight line. He was a little anxious. He was mainly worried about the situation outside. He was worried about Wu Lingfei, Xikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi. The battle between saints was a shocking battle. Anything could happen. Night Sorrow was rushing at full speed to ensure his safety. At full speed, Night Sorrow estimated that it would take a month to reach the entrance of the Medicine Valley area. It was nearly 3 million miles away. No matter how fast he and Tianyu were, they would not be able to reach it. The distance was too far. On the 7th day, when Night Sorrow was about to switch with Tianyu, Xiao Kong called out to Night Sorrow and told him that there was a situation. Could it be a saint? Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda in a flash. Then he controlled the space-time pagoda to hide underground. Why are you so nervous? There are strong energy fluctuations on our right. That's not the aura of cultivation. If I'm not wrong, there should be a treasure, Xiao Kong said with a smile. Yes. I'm too nervous. However, we can't be careless now. A saint has appeared. If we're discovered, I'll be easily killed and you'll be easily refined, Night Sorrow said with a bitter smile. Then Night Sorrow left the space-time pagoda and flew in the direction that Xiao Kong had pointed out. He rushed toward the place where the energy fluctuations were. After a while, Night Sorrow arrived at a strange place. It was a big black lake. The lake water contained an extremely rich power of death. Night Sorrow flew toward the lake. After flying for 2 hours, he saw a special phenomenon. There was a huge whirlpool in the center of the lake. In the middle of the whirlpool, there was a dark bead. The death bead. Night Sorrow recognized it. It was the origin of space, the death bead. Night Sorrow quickly approached the death bead. When Night Sorrow was 200 feet away from the death bead moved. It directly shot out, bringing with it a stream of light. Then it fell into the dark lake water. Seeing the death bead disappear, Night Sorrow did not chase after it. This was because the death bead was flying too fast. There was no possibility of him catching up. This was not fate. Night Sorrow could do nothing about it. However, Night Sorrow saw something else. Below the original location of the death bead, there was a tall and thick stone pillar. At the top of the stone pillar was a pool of green liquid. Life spirit liquid. Night Sorrow recognized it. It was the life spirit liquid. It was much richer than the life spirit liquid formed by the life saintess' own energy. Without saying anything, Night Sorrow took out his reincarnation spear and directly cut off a section of the thick stone pillar. After grabbing the upper half, he summoned Tianyu and sat on Tianyu's back. Then he looked at the pool of life spirit liquid. Night Sorrow knew what was going on. This was the essence produced when the death bead was formed, and the life energy in the surrounding space was forced out. The death bead needed energy to form, and it needed pure energy. The energy that could not be mixed in was the life energy. As it was squeezed and repelled, the life spirit liquid was naturally formed. This was only a short time. If it was for a long time, it would form a life origin stone. Yishang didn't have a jade jar in his storage ring, so he took out the mysterious jade that Wu Lingfei had given him. He waved his reincarnation spear and cut off a piece. Then he carefully covered this half of the stone pillar and put it into his storage ring. The storage ring was an independent space. The situation outside would not affect the inside. The life spirit liquid in the stone pillar would not be spilled. Chapter 677. Genius 1 Second. Remember love go/small? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. And there is indeed an energy fluctuation below, but do you have a way to dig? Xiao Kong also felt it. Even if I don't have a way, I still have to think of a way. Am I just going to look at the spirit stones and not do anything? I also want to move this pillar, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow noticed that this stone pillar was made of a very valuable white jade stone. Now that it had been infected by the aura of the life spirit liquid, the aura of life was very strong. It could be said that it was a spirit jade stone that contained life energy. Then you should think of a way to dig down. Although Xiao Kong knew that there were spirit stones below, it was not easy to get them out. Can you help me with this? I will support this protective barrier and dig down. After digging a hole, your main body will press on top of the hole to prevent the water from seeping in. Then I will dig a hole at the bottom of the lake. Night Sorrow said his idea. He found that the bottom of the lake was made of hard bluestone, and not a muddy pond. Your idea is not bad. Then we will do as you say. Xiao Kong thought for a moment and said, the outside of the space-time treasure pagoda was always protected by energy, so it was not afraid of the death energy in the lake. Night Sorrow put away the Tianyu, took off the king's battle armor, and supported a protective barrier before falling into the lake. After falling to the bottom of the lake, Night Sorrow took out 2 long swords that he did not use and started digging at the bottom of the lake. Night Sorrow's arms had the strength of tens of thousands of jin, so it was not a problem for him to do some physical work. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, he had dug 2.5 feet into the ground. Then Night Sorrow flashed out of the deep hole and released the space-time treasure pagoda, smashing it towards the top of the deep hole. With a loud boom, the bottom of the lake was smashed down by the space-time treasure pagoda. Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda and exited from the bottom. Then he used his energy to envelop the water in the bottom of the space-time pagoda, that was still more than 10 feet deep. Then he flashed back into the space-time pagoda and appeared in the lake. He threw away the lake water that was enveloped in his energy, and then entered the pit through the space-time pagoda. There was no more water in the pit, So Night Sorrow continued to dig. You're really smart. Doing this is no different from digging underground outside. Little Kong was also very impressed with Night Sorrow. He could think of any method. After that, Night Sorrow used his energy to wrap up the excess soil and threw it into the lake through the space-time pagoda. After digging 4 feet deep, Night Sorrow finally saw the sweetness of the harvest. He saw spirit stones. Following that, Night Sorrow began digging left and right. When he was tired, he returned to the space-time pagoda to rest. Night Sorrow didn't seem to be in a sorry state, as he maintained his protective shield. When he dug 6 feet deep, Night Sorrow dug out a crystal. This was his goal. When he found the Death Fate Pearl and Life Essence liquid, Night Sorrow felt that there would be death crystals and life crystals. That was why he was so excited. Where there were crystals, there would naturally be top-grade spirit stones. After digging out dozens of spirit stones, Night Sorrow finally finished digging. When he felt that there was nothing left, Night Sorrow came out of the pit and controlled the space-time pagoda to come out of the water. After putting away the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow took a deep breath and flew to the side of the spiritual jade pillar. He hugged the spiritual jade pillar and began to pull it up. With his body's strength of tens of thousands of kilograms, and with the help of his true energy and the myriad Daos treasured tome, Night Sorrow was able to pull out the spiritual jade pillar from the bottom of the lake. This spiritual jade pillar was very long, about 13 to 14 feet. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had enough space in the storage ring of the Dark Spirit Saint, so he was able to store it. Done, let's go home. Clapping his hands, Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and flew towards the predetermined route. Sitting on Tianyu's back, Yishang counted his harvest this time. There were close to 40 life crystals, 100 death crystals, and 100 extreme-grade spirit stones. Needless to say, there were more than 1,000 high-grade spirit stones. Yishang directly threw the mid-grade spirit stones into the storage ring he had looted, not even bothering to count them. If you can get out safely, find a place to cultivate in peace. No one can stop your footsteps. Xiao Kong said. She naturally knew what these resources meant. At this time, at the bottom of the valley behind the bamboo forest peak in eastern Xian Domain's Medicine Valley, there was a group of people standing guard. The leader was Wu Lingfei, Lin Yuandao, and a few others. Long Xianxing was also meditating at the side. Wu Lingfei was refining Dongshuan's origin. Aoi Yanglei and Xikong Chuyu were not far behind her. Not far from them were Hua Yinpeng and Yu Yangyu, who were meditating. Wu Lingfei, who was meditating, shone brighter and brighter, and then people could not look at her directly. Then the energy in the sky rolled, and a multicolored light appeared. The multicolored light gathered and directly entered Wu Lingfei's body. Then the multicolored light reappeared from Wu Lingfei's body and rushed towards the sky, spreading in all directions. First success, the laws of Eastern Xian Domain have been completed. Although it is only the laws of life energy, it is enough. It is not something that can be suppressed by any space. Long Xianxing stood up and said, "Thank you for your help." Wu Lingfei bowed to Long Xianxing. "There is no need. This seat does not want to be involved in any karma. I just want to cultivate in peace. But if Eastern Xian Domain is not peaceful, how can it be peaceful? Also, that young man should be fine. He does not look like he will die young. At the same time, he is also a person with great fortune. When he comes back, tell him to meet this seat at the old place of the Ice Plain Sea when he has time." Looking at the pitch-black entrance of the spatial passage, Long Xuanqing's figure flashed and he left. He left because this place was safe. The laws of the Eastern Xian region had already been perfected, and it wasn't something that the Supreme River Ancient Battlefield could suppress. The venerables and saints in the Supreme River Ancient Battlefield could not come out either. It could be said that they were in an equal state. Wu Lingfei looked at the spatial passageway with mixed feelings. Although she had become the domain lord, she was not happy at all, because the people she cared about were still fighting inside. It was unknown whether they could come back alive. "Domain lord, can you think of a way to save Night Sorrow?" Yu Yangyu came to Wu Lingfei's side and bowed. Everyone knew that Wu Lingfei had become the domain lord. Yu Yangyu and Hua Yinpeng were very worried after knowing about Night Sorrow's situation. They were very worried that something would happen to Night Sorrow. It could be said that the situation in the Medicine Valley today was caused by Night Sorrow. No matter who was in trouble, they did not want to see anything happen to Night Sorrow. All of you back off. This seat has Dongshuan's origin to protect me. Let's try again. Wu Lingfei waved her arm and sent the people around her to a safe area. Then, she held up a green protective shield full of vitality and rushed towards the spatial passageway. As Wu Lingfei rushed forward, the energy in the spatial passageway began to surge. In front of Wu Lingfei was no longer a spatial passageway, but a spatial turbulence. It still won't work. As long as we move forward, the place will collapse wherever we go. Wu Lingfei, who had retreated, said with a sigh. The energy of death and the energy of life were opposite. The Supreme River Ancient Battlefield did not allow Wu Lingfei to enter because it would threaten the very foundation of the space. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.